and we've got audio. We can already see ourselves perfectly well in the video, and let us begin. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends of LVE, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone listening. On this rather precious, sunny, and warm day of Shabbat well into winter in California, the US of A, belonging to the 15th, we're still halfway through the month of Tevet. Everything's going quickly. Of the year 5992, which corresponds to the 27th of January, which is on its way out, of the year 2024, we shall study yet another chapter of Wisdom and Discipline, Part 2. Last Shabbat, in the previous chapter, we presented the introduction, and now we'll start to develop, little by little, the book of Proverbs, as well as other books, in order to try to get the most gain from the sayings of the wisdom of the king and wise Solomon. So then let us begin with chapter 2. Let us begin with word prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this rather precious day of Shabbat, for this precious day. We ask that you bless us with greater capacity, greater intelligence, that you give us the wisdom that you desire for your children, your kings, your Messiah to have, and that you prepare us to be able to reign in this world. I thank you for all this in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Marco Antonio Beraun Cruz, Peru; Jimena Duran Sandoval, Mexico; Christopher Herrera, Colombia; Mila Vicente, Mexico; Pedro Nel Carrascal, Caviedes, Colombia; Guillermo Andrés Iraira Molina, Chile; Joana Elizabeth Feliz, the Dominican Republic; Said Sauter, the US of A; Isaí Vicente Hernandez, Mexico; Ángel Raúl Montiel Jojoa, Colombia; Omar Bonilla, Colombia; Alexa Cordero, the Dominican Republic; Henry Alejandro Tavares Arcos, Colombia; Norma Florian, the US of A; Rocio Hernandez, the US of A; Juan Luis Eduardo Lozano, Marcos, Mexico; and Andrea Sanz Bud de Salas, Costa Rica. For each and every one of you, which were a whole lot, and all of you that had a birthday during this week, and I didn't mention you, a great big hug on behalf of the Eternal Truth. Many blessings, and may be the last one you have under the government of Babylon. Very well. I'd like to remind you that we always have on our behalf, in a free manner, to every one of you, to those of you as well that are not from the Eternal Truth, but are going through DHSs, are going through conflicts, we have available to you in a free manner Angelina's consults. It's marvelous, and always have that present, that we are at your service. You can write to Angelina, who is the address of Facebook, or her name is in the description of this video. Very well. I'm going to give you this without confirming, because I still have not made the calendar. It takes me some time to give you, but I will do it. But since many of you have asked me when would Pesach be, in order to start to ask for those days in your jobs, in my best estimation of this, I'm not confirming it, but I believe that we are pretty well off. The moon shall be seen on April 9th. In other words, April 9th, when the sun goes down, the end ends, and the month of Aviv begins. The year 5903 would begin April 9th, and Pesach would be April 23, which I believe it's a Tuesday. I can't remember right now. Let me see if I can tell you when it'll be. I'll confirm this later, but I believe I made various calculations in order to answer many that have asked me. Tuesday, the 23rd of April, it'll be Pesach. It'll be the 14th day of Aviv or Nisan. In the month of Aviv, the new month begins on April 9th. And April 9th will be a Tuesday. Also, April 9th, when the sun goes down. So then actually, Wednesday 10th, it is the day of trumpets, Wednesday 10th, which is a day that also is non-workable. So then Wednesday 10th, the 10th Wednesday, Wednesday the 10th, beginning in April 9th, Tuesday, April 9th at sunset, Yom Teruah begins, the day of trumpet. I'll confirm this later, but I believe that I am up to date, so then you can start to calculate. We're far away from that already. We're still far away. That's the problem of being a slave. We're the slaves of Babylon. You have to be letting them know when the other slaves ask them to leave that space for us. That is the problem, being a slave. Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, YHWH Elohim, Yahweh one is. That is the absolute base of the eternal truth. It is the central and main base, primordial one as well, where all the truths that make up the eternal truth well built. That there's only one being. That only being does not have a divine being and never sent a divine son, but he came himself. And he bore the role of the son, because he did not reveal himself as being Elohim, but he did give complete hints that he was Yahweh Elohim. But he chose to present himself that way because it's all written in parables. When we understand the Bible is written in parables, then even what would be was going to be parables. That's why he presented himself as the Son of the rest. When we comprehend the main base of everything, that there's only one creator being, then we can comprehend who the Messiah is, why, and all the things that the scriptures teach that the people make mistakes on due to not comprehending the central base of Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Very well. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word. Part of the same thing. When he came, it was also concealed. He was concealed. He said he was the word. The Word was in the beginning, the Word was with God, and God was the Word. So then the Word, which was God in the most sublime sense of the word is dabar in Hebrew. The word, what do you call the word in Hebrew? Logos in Greek. Davar in Hebrew, logos in Greek, in the most deepest meaning of it. So then if it says that the word is concealed, the glory of Elohim is to conceal the word. We could say that the glory of Elohim is to conceal himself. Look at how we can comprehend this text. The glory of Elohim is to conceal himself. In other words, hide himself. Yet the honor of the glory of the king is to look and see God, the word. It is to take the cover off of Elohim. If the word is Elohim, in its maximum expression and sense and meaning, the glory of Elohim is to conceal himself from the whole world. But the kings also have the glory of being able to see Elohim, and that is precisely what the eternal truth is. We see Elohim when the people cannot see him. They divide him into two, into three, in its majority, and they can't see him, but the kings can see him. It is concealed. That is the meaning that I've just told you. It is absolutely marvelous. In the end of times, and the whole world will say, not just some, the whole world, except for the kings, or what we know also with different names, the sons of Elohim, or the Messiah, or the Lamb, or the bride of Yahweh, except for them, the whole world will say, Yahweh, my strength and my stronghold, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies. In other words, the people will say, who says, Yahweh in my fortress? The bride does. The Messiah does. Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, how many will come? All the peoples that have ever existed, also the people of Israel. Only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. Vanity to which there is no avail. Only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is man that makes himself God, then they are not gods. That's why, behold, I shall make it be known, the strength of mine arm, they shall know that my name is Yahweh. They'll all say that except for the sons of Elohim. The sons of Elohim say it now. That is the problem and the difference. The rest of the religions think they have the truth and they cannot say it. They think they have the truth, then they will have to say it. We noticed that everything we read, everything that we were taught by our parents, physical or religious, are lies. We've said it now. So then the whole world will say it in different times. We say that now. We recognize Yahweh as the only Elohim. They have to recognize Yahweh as the only Elohim afterwards. That's why we have the octopus here. How pretty is this octopus? The one that initiated this whole protest. Here it is. This is the one that initiated everything, right? The first one to initiate everything. Okay, the octopus is there because we read Malachi 2:17, which says, ye have wearied Yahweh with your word. You said, and what have we wearied him? In that you say, whomever that doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighted, or else where is the Elohim of justice? Our question, even though we know the answer already, it still stands because we really do want to see the Elohim of justice. We want the Elohim of justice to give us the seven spirits. We also ask, where are you, Elohim? Where are you? Why have you forsaken us? Invitational text. Proverbs 1:7. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh. The fools despise wisdom and teaching. Very well. This text, which is in Spanish, we could say a bit mistranslated. Spanish is very rich, and we have to, when we write something or we say something, which is difficult for all of us, we have to say it so clearly that it cannot be misinterpreted. What could be a bad interpretation of this, which is well translated? But look at this. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh. If you read it and you want to interpret exactly what these words say in this translation, it says that the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. In other words, Yahweh has fear. Forget about the fear towards Yahweh. This should have been translated as the fear to Yahweh, not the fear of Yahweh. If I say the fear of Yahweh, it's that Yahweh has fear. The fear of Yahweh is that we eat the tree of life, for example. So then when you read the fear of Yahweh, it is incorrect. It's a bad translation. I believe that we've all understood it well. But it's not what the text in Proverbs says originally. The original text in Proverbs says the fear to Yahweh, not of Yahweh. Yahweh has lots of fear that we learned wisdom. I could say that that's what the text says. Yahweh is terrified that we learn wisdom. So then the beginning of the terror of Yahweh is that we learn wisdom. For example, we could say, why? Because it's an incorrect way of managing that language. When I say the faith of Jesus, what does that mean? The faith of Jesus or the faith in Jesus? Jesus, the difference. Or the faith toward Jesus, the faith for Jesus. If I say the faith of Jesus, it is his faith, not mine. If I say the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh, it says that Yahweh has lots of fear that we find the beginning of wisdom. He's very scared. That is what the text says. You have to be very clear how one thing is translated. You see what I'm saying? So then it is not the fear of Yahweh. We'll still read it that way. There's no way to correct it. There's no reason to, but I want to leave this very clear. That it is the fear to Yahweh, not of. It doesn't come from him, but from us towards him. I want to make that very clear. Yahweh does not have fear for us to comprehend wisdom. No. The fear towards Yahweh is the very beginning of wisdom. I don't remember the way this read in English, because if they have translated everything incorrectly, I don't know if it's on purpose, but they have mistranslated everything. Let's look it up in English the way it says. I know that some of you have noticed this and have told me about this detail. Does it say that Yahweh is afraid that we learn wisdom? And that's why we don't learn it? Yeah, you have asked me. Okay, let us see in English and King James what it says. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord, you see, is the same thing. The fear of the Lord, the fear of it. It's in, who translates these things? Don't you say that it could be turned around? A conservative version, it's better. The fear of Lord. The fear of Lord. It's not the fear not of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is something, and the fear, well, it's give or take the same, similar. Let's see another one.
The reverent and worship fear of the Lord.
Same thing, reverence and fear.
Está bien, no hay problema. En inglés sigue estando el mismo error, que no está en hebreo. No está en hebreo.
It's fear of Yahweh. Is fear of Yahweh or towards Yahweh. Okay. The Pan American word is fear towards the Lord. That one is clear. That one is clear. It is so clear. So then we have to know how we translate it, because if we translate incorrectly, that is the problem that we have. Very well. Let me turn back. Okay. Very well. So then the text of the invitation is, the principle of wisdom is the fear towards Yahweh. I'll read it like that, but you already know it doesn't mean that Yahweh has fear, but it's the fear towards Yahweh. The fools despise wisdom and teaching. Today, I'd like to make this very clear. What is the fear of Yahweh? We have to define it very clearly, so that we do not get confused what it means. Let us begin with Wisdom and Discipline Part 2. I want to remind you for this to be interactive. I have 2 questions that you asked me during the week that I'll read at the end. So from now on, you can write to me in my Facebook to tell me or ask me something that has to do with the text. Very well. So then, do dare ask me. I'll read them anonymously. Also, Brian and Angelina suggested, but they haven't told me how, of adding, it's difficult. In some website, they told me in Google or something, for you to ask, because maybe you don't want to ask. In a certain application, I'll see how we can do this. Exactly, because maybe you don't want to ask because you don't want even for me to know. Of course, you're going to read it anonymously, but then you'll scratch us out with you. I wanted to ask you something, but it's embarrassing, but I don't even want you to know. How do I ask you? So then we have to look for a meaning that you can ask and that I don't even know who's asking, so then you can feel more relaxed and you can ask. There are embarrassing things that not even you want to ask, because you're very embarrassed, and I understand it. That's why there are certain private things that you don't want to ask, and you don't even want even for me to know, which I find that to be perfectly well. It's completely natural, and that's okay. But you do wish you could ask me without being scratched. There is a meaning that you can ask, and for me to not even know who, and if I see a question that I think that it's valuable, then I'll ask. Very well. So then you notice how we can use something that people can ask and for it to be completely anonymous. Because you already know me, sometimes it slips who wrote that, and it happens. Very well. So then remember that you can ask me questions for now directly to my Facebook. Very well. We'll start once again with Proverbs chapter 1 that says,
motivo de los
the motive of the Proverbs. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. It is very important to read who will talk to us, so, or else we won't pay attention even though they are good, because that's the way we are, and I find that to be okay. Who says this? It's important. It's important. Because even if a good advice comes from a bad source, that in our eyes is not of the best, we don't take it because already we put a title and it says this person cannot give an advice, and sometimes we're wrong, evidently. But either way, it is good to know the source of where it comes from, to accept it and to say, okay, it is true. I'll put this into practice. There are many advices that Solomon would like to, and I will also teach you that it will go against what you have acted your whole life. So then, what you need first is to believe in the source, to believe in the source in order to initiate a change, because or else we won't even initiate a change. It's like we listen to something, there's no value. Very well, so then it says, I am the son of David, who is the prototype of the Messiah, and I am the son of David, which is the best prototype of the Messiah, because the Messiah will be the son of David, and not just the son of David, because he had lots of sons of David. I'm the king of Israel, my title is King of Israel, the son of David. It says, so then suck on that, per se. That is my letter of presentation. Very well. 2. In order to understand wisdom and doctrine, in order to recognize prudent reasons. This is not the best translation at all. It doesn't say doctrine, it actually says discipline. It says discipline. We've studied this, but I'll fixate this in your mind again so that you comprehend it, because we forget. Jerusalem 2001 says, in order to comprehend wisdom and instruction, to understand deep thoughts, the New Living Translation. Today I will center it, because this for me would be the best translation possible in what it wants to say. The New Living Translation says, the purpose of the Proverbs is to teach wisdom and discipline, and to help the people understand the intelligence of the wise. Very well. That is the purpose. It is a majestic meaning and definition, in order to help the people, those who want to listen, to comprehend the intelligence of the wise. How had we defined intelligence? The intelligence, I have told you, that it was the capacity in order to be able to contain wisdom. I've told you that already. Very well. There's been some time that I had not checked the meaning in the Spanish Royal Academy of Intelligence, and I looked it up this week, and I loved what I read. Let us go to the RAE and let us look at how the Royal Academy defines the word intelligence. It says it comes from Latin intelligentia, and it has many meanings from 1 through 8, and then some others. Number 1 says capacity, precisely the word that I used and that I had not checked before. Capacity of understanding or comprehending. Perfect. Look, I didn't know. And the Spanish Royal Academy had the same definitions as capacity. What is intelligence? Is the capacity of understanding or comprehending. Even better said, it's impossible. There's a problem with the capacity of understanding and understanding. You know what it is? The enemy of intelligence, and record this because it's not in the Spanish Royal Academy. The enemy of intelligence is pride. Why pride? What does pride have to do with intelligence? It's not an antonym, it's the enemy. According to the RAE, it's clumsiness. The antonym of intelligence is. But the enemy that doesn't allow you to be more intelligent is pride. Why? Because pride, we'll define it very simply. It is the sensation, or what the individual has, or the firmness or the reality or the true quote unquote of the individual in believing that he's right and he doesn't need to change. If I am proud, I believe that I'm right. And if I believe that I am right, it is kind of like that affirmation that I am correct solidifies itself in the intelligence. So then I cannot replace that because it already took up a space in my capacity that I am correct. In order to be able to become intelligent again and have the flexibility of being able to change that information, I have to be humble. And humble is to think that I could be wrong. When you face an actual proud person, it is because they feel so comfortable with their opinion that they don't need even to listen to others' opinions. That we have experienced it, all of us. When I was an Adventist, I was proud to be an Adventist. So then, even if some guy would come and tell me, look, if you study well, the beast is not Rome, my pride solidified as cement. I would look at that person that was speaking to me, give me that information, which is true, and I would look at him with a smile saying, you don't know anything, but you can think whatever you want, and I could give a fuck what you believe. I know, and I'm sure, and it is my entire truth that the beast is the Catholic Church, and the Pope is the Antichrist, and take me out of there. That is what you call pride. That is the true pride. That is why they say that the poor are humble. That is a lie. Poverty has nothing to do, poverty of money has nothing to do with being humble.
La riqueza, y uno podría definir que va bastante relacionado con el orgullo.
Riches, and you can say that it's related with pride because the rich, when they feel okay and feeling like they have everything, then they already are very comfortable with their opinions. But riches have nothing to do with pride. Actually, a person could be very rich and be very humble. To think the whole time that they could be incorrect and that they have to better themselves and they want to know more truth. That generally doesn't happen because the rich feels proud. Look what I have achieved. This is thanks to my intelligence, and I don't want to learn anything from you, poor people. For example, do you understand what I'm saying? So then, we have to know the definitions. A proud person is a person that believes that their opinion is correct. And you have run into a proud mother that says things are done this way. And you want to teach her a better way of teaching, she won't accept it. She won't accept it because the pride won't allow it. So then pride, what it does is the enemy of intelligence because it limits the capacity of being able to change the information. When I was an Adventist and I was proud to be an Adventist, I was so limited. No matter who would come, maybe, I don't know, God himself, and he would say, Ellen G. White is fake, and I would say, no, Ellen G. White is the greatest prophet of all times. And I would say, you're witness to that. Because if it comes after the Bible, it's greater than them all. Why would she come? There's no, in theory, it's going to come. It's not the lesser light, but the superior light. That, because in my Adventist pride, that concept was fixated in my mind. Nobody can take me away from that. When in my pride, I would believe that the earth was a ball and that it would spin and travel. Who would take me from there? Some guy came and says, hey, the earth is flat. And my pride spoke for me and it says, what an ignorant fool. You don't see how the sun goes down? The Argentinians are all upside down and they don't know it. And we in America are the right way up and the rest are upside down. And all those things that happen and the eclipses and all the information and the scenes and how we went to the moon, that is pride. That instead of saying a humble person that's actually humble says, seriously, tell me everything you know because I'm going to try to see what you're giving me to understand and I'll compare it with what I have and I'll check and analyze and study the proof. That is what a humble person does. A proud person, like all of us are, says no. No. That is already fixated in my mind. I don't even want to check it again because that's how things are. That's it. There's no way of changing it. For that same reason, when a proud person came, a proud priest of Israel, a person that had so much wisdom, overabounding of the Torah, Yeshua tells him, look, if you want to understand something, you have to be born again. Because your pride of being an Israelite, your pride of having studied the Torah does not allow you to understand the truth, because it is solidified. That is the danger of being proud. Yahweh allows us to have certain pride, and allows us in the sense that it is written, says if you want to be proud of something, feel pride of something, you have to feel, either you can feel proud of knowing me. The thing is that is a two-edged sword, because the people think they believe they know God, and they see him in three people, and they know him with the Holy Spirit, and they're proud of that. But that is a lie. And try to take him away from that idea. What you need is some, I don't know, I can imagine the pride like a cement block that you need, those pneumatic hammers that they use on the street, like this, and it breaks, or else it does not allow for another way of seeing things differently to penetrate. That is what all of us have to achieve. A mind that is manageable, a mind that I believe that the eternal truth has been developing little by little. I believe that the plan of Elohim was to take it from one place to another, not so that we learn that it's two, not to learn these things, not to learn that how to drink juices, or to say he's coming here or not for, oh, let's take Paul out without any sense, but it is to soften our capacity and make it flexible. Never take everything as to be true, not even what I say as true in cement. Because I've taught you that this is kind of like traveling in a roller coaster. I've told you that. What I tell you today, maybe next week it could change. And already, with just knowing that, it makes your mind one that is willing to change. The Adventists are not willing to change. The Catholics are not willing to change. The Jews, even less, are willing to change. That is what the wise men said, and it's what they said. You can't take him from that. You can never take him out of there, because it was solidified in a doctrine. When I comprehended this, because we were placing the doctrines in the eternal truth, what we believe, we would have to be changing them all the time. You remember that, right? The new ones won't know, but in the eternal truth site, we had our beliefs. And we would have to be changing them all the time. Until I said, you know what? No more beliefs in the eternal truth. No more. No more. Because all this could be changeable. Let us not solidify anything. There is only one thing that I solidified in my mind, and that, in my opinion, is the only one that we should go for. Is the only one that has any worth to do it, because I'm willing to not change this until God comes and shows me the contrary. But I already decided not to change in this. I solidified that with such a brutal pride, and no one can break it with a hammer, which is called the Shemah. Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. If that is something that we have solidified as the base, then there is no danger that all of a sudden we change for it to be two, or that it's three, or that it's a family, because at some point in time we have to make a decision in a stable base. The base has to be stable. The things that we build from above that stable base could be movable, and effectively they are, because as we advance in different truths, we notice that some were not so true. We have to reform them. So there are people that base that the Torah is unbreakable, and not we. Of course not. Says it's annulled, all of it, once and for all. and we give all the reasons which are true. But there's only one truth, and I want you to solidify it if you want to. This is wisdom if you want to. It is the Shema. The rest, we build upon it in the way that we understand things, but something has to be solidified, and the solid is this. The Christians have the Trinity as solid. If you study in the Catholic Church, the main doctrine of the Catholic Church, and in which all the rest are composed of, is the Trinity. That's it. So then they have as a building stone, a main cornerstone, it is the Trinity. The Adventist also. And also the Sabbath. How are they going to have the Sabbath as the main piece? How are they going to say that they're waiting for an Advent as the main piece? That's why it's called Adventists that are waiting for an Advent to happen of the seventh day. We are the ones that are waiting, and we're keeping the seventh day. That is our main piece. It cannot be. The only main piece is Elohim. From there, everything comes. That is why our eternal truth, which is the eternal truth, which is what all the peoples will recognize, is that Yahweh is one. That has to be solid in your mind. If it's not solid in your mind, then you cannot build upon the doctrines of the eternal truth of who the Messiah is, which is a human group, that no one comes from heaven, that there's no God in heaven next to the Father that is getting ready to come back. No, that is not the return of, but rather it is the apparition of the Mashiach, the Messiah. All those doctrines are left clear when you have something solid, which is YHWH. Very well. What then does the Rai say? The capacity of understanding or comprehending is the intelligence. Synonyms of intelligence. Understanding, I read it the way it is written in Spanish, or else you won't understand. You comprehend, I'll read it the way it's written. The way it is in Spanish. Understanding, intellect, talent, reasoning, mind, knowledge, ingenious, thought. We have all the miento, which in Spanish means lie, as these words end in Spanish. Reason, intuition, Minerva, which I don't know what it is. Minerva is, there was a lady called Minerva. Head, you know what marote is? The Argentinians, we use, are you okay in the marote, which means their head. The testa. He hit him in the marote. They don't use it. You do know that word, right? Marote, I don't know if they still use it, but marote means head. Marote, valera, also the head. It says, does it your head work? Pipe. For me, a pipe, the only one is the one that you smoke in. Or what you call the pipes here, because in English you call it a pipe. Has nothing to do with in Spanish pipe. I don't know if it has anything to do, but all the pipes. Can you give me that pipe? And it's a pipe. You say, do you say pipes in Guatemala? No. You say tubes, but not a pipe, right? They say pipe. A 1/4 pipe. The contrary of intelligence is competence, according to the Rai. Number 2. According to the Rai, capacity, I love it. It is that capacity of solving problems is the capacity of solving problems. There are people that don't have the capacity of solving problems, and they drown in the problems because they don't have intelligence and they can't solve them. If you can't solve it, it's because you don't have intelligence, because with intelligence the problems are solved. So then, perfect of the intelligence of what it is, capacity of solving everything. 3. The act of understanding, very well, that's fine, that's fine. Number 4, in sense, in a proposition could be taken as saying or an expression, exactly. It says that the intelligence is also the sense, according to your intelligence, how you demonstrate intelligence, the sense that a proposition could be taken or a saying or expression. I wouldn't define it that way, but number 4th is okay. 5th, I like the number 5th. It is the ability, distress, and experience. Skill. Those things, the skill is the capacity of thinking, of understanding, of solving problems. Distress is also the same thing, of being able to comprehend and to solve problems. And the experience, it also has to do with intelligence, because the experience will augment your intelligence. You already know that if this doesn't work, you already understand that as clearly, that you should not put your fingers into the socket, because you can have an electrical charge. That experience will bring somebody that does not know what electricity is, they have no experience, so then they grab and they can put their fingers in. The kids or whoever that doesn't know. So then we can develop intelligence. It has a lot to do with it. There are forms of developing intelligence, which is capacity. In fact, one of the best ways of developing intelligence is by emptying pride. I want to leave that very clear today, because many of you can say, I'm not an intelligent person. Well, you will be if you start to allow for your ideas. Exactly. Like a donkey or an ass is the contrary of intelligence, because you are somebody that is stubborn, because somebody tells you something, you don't want to accept it because you don't think it goes. The advisor can say, no, here, you don't like it. If I tell you you have to do something with the kids and you don't practice it, that is what it is, precisely a person that is solidified in their personal opinion. So then it does not give you any room for obtaining wisdom, because a part is already solidified in your brain. You have to eliminate the previous information in order to be able to have the capacity to be able to absorb. So then imagine that you have a bowl with old things, hard things that are solidified. And of course, the bowl is almost full. And you want to add more things, and nothing else can enter, because there's all types of articles, artifacts, or informations that are solidified. What do you have to do there? Well, you have to soften that and take it out in order to be able to receive it. So then, what am I trying to say? That the whole world can and has the capacity to learn completely. Now, are there some intelligences that are solidified that does not allow them? That is what pride is. You have to take the pride out. And that is the greatest problem everywhere, in the couples, in the teachings of wisdom. The pride is the one that does not allow you or give you the capacity to learn, because you already have a better way, because you have better information, because you feel that things should be this way. For example, when last Shabbat I started to say what intelligence was, everybody started to give their opinion what it was. That's precisely what you should not have done. You don't help me what I'm trying to say. And even less in a live chat like this. Less in the chat, even less. If you want to comment and to say something according to what I'm saying, about what I'm saying, what you're saying is that I have a better information, I'll share it. I'll share it. For me, the intelligence is such a thing, but I didn't ask you what intelligence was. I want you to understand, a wise man will comment something that he feels. He will comment something that he feels that it's very good. And when you present something, there's the risk, of course. A wise man, more than anything, listens. More than anything, he listens. Unless I ask you, then you do comment there. But when you are in a gathering and somebody wants to teach something, the whole world already knows that and says, oh yeah, it's because of this and that. And then they start to correct. And you end up correcting me, or the one speaking, And you say, oh yeah, he is right.
La
So then
inteligencia es otra cosa. Es lo que ustedes
intelligence
dicen.
is something else,
Porque
is
no
what
están
you
dispuestos a
say.
escuchar
Because you're not willing to
si no
listen
quieren aportar.
if
Si
you
ustedes
don't
quieren
want
aportar,
to
entonces no
share.
pueden ir a
If you
una
want to
clase de
share,
sabiduría. Porque ya
that
desde
you
el
cannot
mismo
learn
instante
any
ya
type
creen
of
más
wisdom
sabio que
because
los
from the
sabios.
very beginning you believe you're
Entonces viene a
wiser
corregir al sabio.
than the person
Viene a
speaking.
ver
So
si
then
lo
you
que
come
están
to
diciendo,
correct the wise
lo
man.
que
You come
menos
to say
tienen que
if what he's
pensar
saying.
es,
And the last thing
vengo
that
a
you have
ver
to
si lo
think
que está
is,
diciendo está
I
bien.
come to see if what he's saying is correct.
Claro, claro, no, yo te entendí.
And then in the sense of commenting on something insignificant, right, I understood. When people try to say what they think, then they're no longer in a class, but
Exacto.
they want to give the class.
O quieren
Exactly.
ser más brillantes
Or they want to
que el
be
que está
more
hablando.
brilliant than the one person speaking.
Tienen que ustedes revisar lo que voy a comentar es porque quiero que la gente
Because
admire
what
a
I'm
mí
going to comment,
por mi
I want to
brillantez
comment
y
this
mi
because I want
inteligencia,
people
lo que voy a
to
aportar.
admire me for my intelligence.
Quisiera solamente comentar
Or
algo
is it that I just want to
con
comment
respecto a
something
justamente lo que está diciendo él.
according to what he's
En
saying?
el mejor de todos los casos
In the best of the cases,
es
it is
mantener el
better
silencio. Sería
to
el mejor
keep
de todos los
quiet.
casos.
That'd be the better of the
Exacto,
cases.
en lo que estoy explicando, en lo que estoy explicando.
In what I'm explaining,
Una,
in what I'm
porque
explaining.
no se distraen. Otra,
One,
porque no
because
distraen a
you
los demás.
do not get
Y otra,
distracted,
es
you
porque
don't
no se
distract
hacen los
others, and
sabiondos.
another one is because you don't
Están,
want to look like
porque si no,
a smarty pants,
en realidad no quieren
a
venir a
know-it-all,
aprender, sino quieren
because
venir a
or else you
enseñar.
don't really want to come to learn, but you want to come to teach. Want to shine a bit before
Exacto. Y
others.
por lo general no
Exactly,
escuchan.
exactly. And generally, you're not too bright in what you comment. They all give different opinions. So then it's better to come and listen in a class than to give their opinion because many people don't come with your same attitude. They come to listen. Exactly. If there's we're a gathering or a discussion between friends, that is when you can give your own opinion. I also wanted to add, I had noticed, but in LVE official, you can post anonymously. There is a little key where you can click on it and it says an anonymous post. So then you can add a question if you dare. The whole group sees it, but it's anonymous. They don't know. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, in the very same LVE official group, Facebook group, not LVE. Okay, can you try a little bit to see how it looks? It's anonymous, but it has to be a member, obviously. Obviously, okay. Okay, very well. Okay, so then, the capacity of intelligence, we're born with certain capacity, but we can expand it. And how do we expand it? I believe that if we substitute wrong information for good information, that makes such an effect in the mind that it's kind of like the capacity starts to be expanded, because if you have good information, it's kind of like different possibilities are open for other things, and it's kind of like intelligence starts to be expanded. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then, intelligence is expendable. Let us not just stay with what you have and it's just a recipient and nothing else. What we have to do is to take the pride out and to start to place true wisdom in them. That allows it to be expanded. And also, experience helps. When you have experience with what works, what doesn't, that also helps for it to expand. Very well. We are in number 5, the ability in distress and experience. 6, secret correspondence and dealing between two people and nations between them. It is the intelligence as the CIA, the Central Intelligence of the US, or the Central Agency of Intelligence, or intelligence of Israel, or the intelligence of every nation, has got nothing to do with the definition of intelligence. But well, it is within what it is in Spanish, what intelligence is. Number 7, I like this definition because it doesn't explain anything. Substance that's purely spiritual. That's true, because we cannot touch intelligence, so then we'll say that it's spiritual. And if it's spiritual, we can expand it. It's something physical, but we can't see or touch, because it's in the intellect
es
where
espiritual. Y me gusta esa
it
definición.
resides, so it's spiritual, and I like that definition.
Que es lo mismo. Y nuevas
Number 8 is the service of
definiciones que
intelligence, same
llegamos a la
things,
palabra
and new
ser.
definitions that they
Inteligencia
obligated the right to do.
Que eso ya
Artificial
hemos hablado mucho
intelligence,
y están
which we've talked about that a lot, and it's already
últimamente en películas,
lately
en todo lo que sea.
in movies and
Dice,
anything.
disciplina científica que se ocupa de crear programas
It's a scientific discipline
que ejecutan
that
operaciones
creates
comparables a lo que
informatic
realiza la
programs
mente
that
humana.
execute operations comparable to those of the human mind, like learning
Eso es
or
la
logical
inteligencia
reasoning.
artificial.
That is
Una
what
computadora
artificial intelligence is.
se
For a
comporta
PC, a
como
computer,
la mente humana,
to
que pueda
act like a
aprender por
human
sí
mind,
misma,
that it can
sin
learn
pasar por
on its
información,
own
sino ella misma
without for me
pregunta,
to
esa
add
misma
any
pregunta.
information, but she
Ella
asks,
misma pregunta
which is
y
intelligent,
que
she
use
asks
un
on her
razonamiento
own, and for her to
lógico,
use a
no un
logical reasoning,
razonamiento
not
preprogramado, sino que use su
pre-programmed
propia
reasoning,
lógica en
but
base
to
a la
use
información
its
que va
own logic
recibiendo.
based on the information
Si
that
es
it
tan así, o
receives.
llegamos a ese punto,
If
no
it
lo
is
sé,
such,
pero
or we
aún
get to
da
that
miedo
point,
decirlo,
I don't know,
que
but
un
it's scary to
algo
say
que no tiene
for
alma
something that has no
pueda
soul
razonar por sí mismo.
to that it can
Y
reason
que
on its own,
de golpe quiere aprender más,
and that all of a sudden
y
wants
a
to
medida
learn
de la
more,
información que le va
and in the
entrando,
measure
tome
of the
decisiones
information
que
that
son diferentes a
they
las que
take
la
in,
programó.
they
¿Me
take
entiendes?
decisions
Eso
different to
da
those that
miedo.
of the person
Esa
that
es
programmed it. That is
inteligencia
scary.
artificial.
That is what artificial
Inteligencia
intelligence
de datos que no me
is.
importa, e inteligencia
Data
emocional.
intelligence, which I don't care about. Emotional intelligence, let us go to
Capacidad
emotional
de percibir
intelligence.
y controlar los propios
The
sentimientos.
capacity
Wow.
of perceiving and controlling one's own feelings. Oh, we do need emotional intelligence. If we had lots of emotional
No
intelligence,
tendríamos DHS porque
we would
empezamos
not
a
have any
controlar
DHSs
los
because we
sentimientos.
start to
Y
control
los
the
sentimientos que
feelings.
son las emociones, vamos a decir.
And what are they? The
puede
emotions,
controlar
let's
las
say.
emociones?
Who can control
La verdad,
emotions?
son muy difíciles
Tell
de
the truth,
controlar las
it's
emociones.
very difficult to control the emotions. Absolutely difficult.
Apenas que nos damos
Even
cuenta
we
que
can
estamos
barely
teniendo emociones
notice that we're having
que nos
emotions
van a llevar
that
a
will
sufrir
take
un
us
DHS,
to have a
veces ni nos damos
DHS.
cuenta.
Sometimes we don't even
Porque
notice
son tan sutiles lo que
because
sentimos.
they're so subtle what we feel.
Sentir emociones como miedo,
To
a veces
feel
no lo
emotions like
sentimos a
fear,
nivel
sometimes we don't feel
consciente, lo sentimos a nivel
that
inconsciente. Y se pone
consciously,
más
but
complicado
subconsciously, and it
Si
gets
tuviéramos
more
mucha inteligencia
complicated.
emocional,
If we have lots
tendríamos
of emotional
control sobre nuestras
intelligence, we
emociones.
have control over our
¿Y
emotions.
¿Cómo lo define la RAE?
And how does the
Capacidad de
Spanish Royal
percibir
Academy
y
define it?
controlar
This is
los
the
propios
capacity of
sentimientos
perceiving
y
and
saber
controlling one's own
interpretar
feelings
los
and
de
to
los
know how
demás.
to interpret others.
¿Quién no
Wow.
quisiera tener más
Who wouldn't want to have more
inteligencia emocional?
emotional intelligence?
Tenemos poca inteligencia emocional. a
We
lo
have
que deberíamos
very
tener.
little emotional intelligence
qué?
than what we should.
Porque
Why?
muchos de
Because
ustedes y nosotros, y
many
podemos
of you,
personalizar,
and we, and I'll put
a veces
everything in the
no
same
queremos ni
case,
siquiera
sometimes we don't
autoevaluarnos qué
even
estamos
want
sintiendo.
to self-evaluate
nos
what
damos
we're
cuenta
feeling.
de
Sometimes we don't
autoevaluarnos
even
qué estamos
notice
sintiendo.
of how to
Pensamos que es normal.
self-evaluate what we're feeling. We think that it's
Puede ser
normal what we
miedo,
feel.
puede
It could be
ser
fear,
odio,
it could
puede
be hate,
ser
it
una
could be
amenaza, puede
a
ser
threat,
una
it could
angustia,
be
y no lo
anguish,
expresamos
it could be,
porque
and we
ni
don't
siquiera
express
sube
it
nuestro
because it doesn't even come up
consciente de
to
que estamos sufriendo
our
esto.
consciousness that
Y
we're
sufrimos
suffering that.
problemas
And
que
we
sufrimos,
suffer the
y no
problems
nos
that we
damos cuenta
suffer,
de por qué.
and we didn't even
Porque
notice not even
nuestra
why,
inteligencia
because
emocional
our
está poco
emotional
desarrollada.
intelligence is
Entonces hay veces que sentimos una amenaza
not
o una
so
emoción
developed.
fuerte,
So
y
sometimes
no
if
nos
we
damos
feel
cuenta ni que
a strong
sentimos la
emotion
emoción.
or a threat, we don't
Después,
even feel like we
cuando
feel that emotion. Then
aparecen
later,
las resoluciones del
when
conflicto,
the solutions of the
que
conflict appear,
sufrimos
we see that
ciertas
we
cosas,
suffered
pero ni nos
certain
dimos cuenta
things,
cuando las sufrimos.
but we didn't
Eso a
even
mí
notice when we suffered
me
them.
da
That
mucha bronca.
is what
Porque
gets
yo
me
quisiera
very
sentir
upset,
todo lo que siento,
because I wish I could feel
pero para
everything that I
sentir
feel.
todo lo que uno siente,
But in order to feel everything
tiene
that
que
you
parar
feel,
lo que está haciendo,
you have to
tiene que
stop what you're
vivir
doing.
una vida
You have to
más
live a
profunda
life that is
intelectualmente.
more
Y
deep
eso al ser humano le
intellectually.
cuesta pensar.
And
¿Cuántos seres
that
humanos,
is
como
difficult for
dicen acá en
humans
la
to do.
sociedad,
How many human
pasan su
beings,
día sin
so as to
pensar
not say
qué
the
sienten,
great majority,
sin pensar
go
si
the
ese
whole day
momento
without thinking
sienten
what they
alegría
feel in,
o sienten
if they feel
tristeza,
joy or
sienten
sadness or
depresión? Y si sienten
depression,
depresión,
and
¿por
if
qué
they feel
sienten
depression, why do
La
they
gente dice,
feel
"No sé,
depression?
no sé por qué
People say,
siento
I don't
esto".
know. I don't know why I feel
Deberíamos
this.
saber. Y esa es la
But we should
inteligencia
know,
emocional.
and that is
Que
emotional
si
intelligence.
supiéramos,
That if we knew,
sacaríamos la depresión.
we would take depression out. But maybe
tenemos unos disparadores de
we
cosas
have
que
some
vivimos a diario o de situaciones que estamos
triggers
sometidos
of
a
things that we
vivir,
live
en
day
caso
by
de
day, of
pareja,
things
de
that
hijos,
we
de vivir en
live
ciertos
in, like in
lugares,
couples of
de que
children
van
living in certain places,
disparando
that
emociones que no las
they
sentimos,
spark
pero
emotions
nos
that we don't
afectan y cuando
feel,
menos nos damos
but they
cuenta
affect us,
tenemos
and when
una
we least
diabetes
expect it, we
o
have
un
either
cáncer
their diabetes or
o
cancer
a una
or some sort
anormalidad
of
en alguna
abnormality
glándula que no funciona.
in some gland,
Nos
the way it
nos
works.
resfriamos, nos engripamos,
We have
todo nos pasa,
colds,
pero es porque no
flus,
somos
everything that we
capaces
get.
de detectar lo
But
que
that's
estamos
because we
sintiendo.
weren't capable of
Y eso
detecting
es
what
lo
we were feeling.
complicado
And
de
that is what's
la
complicated
psique, cerebro, órgano.
of the psyche,
Somos muy poco capaces
brain,
de
and
detectar
organ.
lo que
We are
sentimos.
very little
Hay ciertas
capable of
personas que son
knowing
más
what we
capaces,
feel. There are
otras
certain
menos.
people that are more
Pero la
capable,
mayoría no son
others
capaces
less.
para nada. Si le
But the
preguntas,
great majority are not
¿estás bien?
capable at
Sí,
all.
yo
If
estoy
you ask
bien,
them,
me
"Are you
siento
okay?"
bien.
Yeah,
Tengo una
I'm okay. I feel well.
y la tuvo
And they
toda
have
la
such
vida
diabetes.
y no se da
They've had it
cuenta
their whole life.
ni
They
siquiera
don't
lo
even
que
notice
experimenta por dentro.
not even what they
Porque se
experienced
bloquean
within.
en una forma de
Because
pensar
if
de
they
que están
block a
bien
way of thinking that they
y
are
están
okay,
bien
and
y no
they are
están
okay,
bien.
and they're not
Se
okay,
autoengañan, podríamos decir,
they
o no tienen la
deceive
capacidad
themselves,
de
as we could say, or they
autoanalizarse.
don't have the
¿Qué es lo que
capacity of
siento? ¿Por qué no soy feliz?
self-analyzation.
¿Por qué no
Why
ocurre lo
am I not happy? Why
Esa es la
do things that
inteligencia
happen to me
emocional.
happen
Yo
to me?
quisiera
That
tener mucho
is
más,
emotional
y quisiera que
intelligence,
todos
and I wish I
tengamos
had a
más.
lot more of it, and I
Tenemos
wish
que
we all
aprender
had
a
more of it. And I
desarrollar la
think that we
inteligencia
have to start to
emocional.
learn to develop
Sinónimos
emotional
o afines a la
intelligence.
inteligencia, dice la RAE.
Synonyms of intelligence, the RAE
Entendimiento,
says:
intelecto, talento,
understanding,
raciocinio, mente,
intellect, talent,
conocimiento,
reasoning,
ingenio, pensamiento,
mind,
razón,
knowing, ingenious, thought, reason.
perspicacia. Bueno, lo mismo que lo leí
Well,
antes.
the same thing that I read before. Very well. It was the last one.
Anónimos u opuestos de inteligencia,
Anonymous
torpeza,
or antonyms.
desacuerdo y desavenencia. Ese desacuerdo no sé, pero
It is
torpeza. Sí.
clumsiness or
¿Cómo
not
defino
disagreement
la inteligencia entonces?
or an unfortunate. I don't know about the last one. How do I define it? The capacity
De entender, de comprender,
of understanding, of
de
comprehending,
resolver problemas,
of
de
solving
contener
problems,
sabiduría
of
y de darme
containing
cuenta que siento.
wisdom,
Eso es
and to know what
inteligencia.
I feel.
Eso
That
es
is what
inteligencia.
intelligence is. That is what intelligence
Hay
is.
otro sinónimo que lo podría
There's another
definir,
synonym
que
that I could
estuve
define
pensando
it,
mucho en esta palabra
that I was
el
thinking
Shabbat
about it
pasado.
in this word last Shabbat.
Es la intuición.
It is the
La
intuition.
es
Intuition
casi sinónimo de
is
inteligencia.
almost
Cuando
synonymous
una
of
persona es
intelligence.
inteligente, es
When a
intuitivo.
person is intelligent,
Se da cuenta
they're intuitive.
si lo que está
They
por
see if
la
what they're
decisión
about to
que
do
está por
or that
realizar
they
es
are
la
about
correcta.
to make is the correct one.
hacer. Eso se llama intuición.
What
porque
you
lo
call
sentís.
intuition because you feel it.
¿Y
And what is
qué es
intuition?
la intuición?
Intuition
La
is something
intuición
like the
es
word
algo, como
says,
dice la palabra,
it's a
es un
tutor
tutor
or
o un
an internal
maestro interno tuyo
master
que está
which is
dentro
within you, which
que
makes
te
you feel
hace
that what
sentir
you're
que
going to
lo que
do
vas
is
a hacer
correct
lo correcto
and don't do
y no hagas lo
this
otro porque
other
es
thing
incorrecto.
because it's incorrect. So then
Entonces, la
intuition
intuición te
says
dice si una
if
persona
somebody's
te está
lying to you or
mintiendo o
not, because due to
porque
the
por el
body
lenguaje
language or because you
corporal
already
o
know the
porque ya
person
conoces a la persona
or because of what
o
they're
por lo
telling
que te
you,
está diciendo,
you
ya
already
sabes
know
en
based
base
on
a
your
tu
internal
intuición
intuition
interna
if it is fake
si es
or true.
falsa o es verdadera.
Sometimes
A veces
you
escuchas información
hear that
y tu
information
intuición te dice
or
que es falso. Es algo
it's something
interno
internal
que se desarrolla.
that is
Es
developed.
casi
It is synonym to
sinónimo de
intelligence.
inteligencia.
The
Mientras
greater
mayor
intuition we
intuición
have,
tengamos,
and it's a correct
y sea una
intuition,
intuición correcta,
you're a
eres
correct,
una persona
in-
inteligente.
intelligent, you're an
Porque
intelligent
la
person.
intuición correcta comparada
Because
con
correct
la
intuition
inteligencia es la que
with
te hace tomar
correct
las decisiones
intelligence
correctas.
makes you
Entonces,
take the correct
la
decisions.
intuición también es una
Intuition
capacidad.
is the capacity of
Capacidad de
discerning
discernir
if something is
si algo
correct
está
or
bien o
wrong.
está
What
mal.
does
¿Qué
your
te dice la
intuition say? It's what somebody call
Es
follow
lo
your
que
heart.
llaman seguir
It's
tu
intuition.
corazón. Es la
Intuition, it's something that it's
Es
within
algo
you,
que está dentro tuyo,
kind of like a
una
voice which is
vocecita
not
que no
God.
es Dios.
A little voice that says,
Una vocecita
that
que te dice,
grab that is
eso,
convenience.
agárralo, eso te
That is
conviene.
intuition. Some
Esa es la
don't
intuición.
have that.
Algunos no
Oh,
la
they all
tienen,
have that,
o
but some
todos la
have
tienen,
it more
pero unos
developed,
tienen más
others
más
less.
desarrollado, otros menos
Some don't even
desarrollado.
notice
Algunos no se
that
dan
they
cuenta
people
que
are
están
lying to them
mintiendo,
because their
porque la
intuition is
intuición
blocked.
está
So then
bloqueada ahí.
they
Entonces
stop that.
pasan
If
por
the
alto.
girls
Si
had
las
an
chicas
intuition
tuvieran una intuición
with a gentleman who's an idiot, but they see him as a prince, a blue prince, that'll make them happy. If they had had a little bit of intuition, they would not have married that person. Because life and acts show you so many details which are either red, yellow, or green. Red is don't advance. Green is the adequate, and yellow, pay attention here and investigate a little further. When love comes to the mind of the girls, the young girls, and they fall in love, in parentheses, blindly of some guy that whoever with intuition, they see that it is not what's convenient to the girl. She doesn't see all that because her intuition was annulled, completely annulled. And so then the guy acts incorrectly, and we can all see it in little things. But the girl doesn't see that. She sees everything as correct because the intuition is zero, or she annulled it on purpose. And the things that she sees, she annuls them and say, no, he'll change. He'll change. If someday they fight and he slaps her or strikes her, the mind says it would be a red flag, an enormous red light. It says we should stop here. No, he'll change. He'll change. If the guy, let's suppose it an example, right? The guy likes other women and he goes, and the mind says he'll change. He'll always change, and then later when he marries, he repents, and then they want to get divorced, and then life is a hell. And this is why didn't you see it? Because you had no intuition. Intuition with intelligence is what makes you see how people act. And we'll develop that later because you have to learn to develop this. Every person has to learn to develop intuition and not solidify an information because you like it, because it makes you feel well, because it's your comfort zone. You have to develop the capacity of intuition, and you'll start to judge people due to their true motives. That's the way it is. Intuition makes you a judge that starts to see the intention of the acts of the person. For example, I don't know if I should give this example or not. I don't know if I should or not. For example, I'll give it either way. Then later I'll go deep into it. I'll go deep into it because there's a text about it. For example, generally, so as to not say the 99% of the people, when you praise them, you destroy them. Why is that? Because people don't have the intuition or intelligence of understanding that it's a praise, what a praise is, and they believe in themselves. They create in themselves a figure that does not exist. So then, generally, when a sportsman, an athlete, or a person that does something well, they start to praise him, that person starts to believe something that actually is not. It is based in the praise of others. And that is when they start to form a personality that later it will be a crumble because it's fake. Because one cannot build oneself in the praises of others. That's why God, even though he says to praise him, he does not need the praise of anyone. He does not live by anybody's praise. We do not build Elohim with our own praises. That is why the praises of Elohim are very stupid, that they do sacrifices, walks, punishments, and that do extreme praises, because it's so nauseous, those types of praises. When you, and I've seen many people's, that the only thing they do, and they do it due to the praise, that the true intelligent people, the only praise that serves them, pay attention to what I'm about to say. For those that are intelligent and wise, the only praise that works is your own. That is the only one that you have to measure. You cannot measure your success or your failures due to the praises or the critiques of the rest. Because you could be saying something very wise, intelligent, and phenomenal, and if how people critique you, which is contrary to praise, make you doubt of what you believe, then they destroy you if you base yourself on what others say, even if you have something that's true to say. If it's backwards, if what you have to say is a motive of praise, and they praise you because they liked what you said, generally the person starts to build something which later will be their fall, because they started to inflate themselves due to the praises of the rest. An example, that let's say they sing, give or take. People come and say, oh, how they sing, you have a beautiful voice. And the ego, which is the I, the me, which is they start to grow. Yeah, it's not true. I have such a beautiful voice. Yeah, you have the voice of an angel. You have something that's incredible. Then there comes a point in when maybe their career fails or not, but the personality changes because they were created based on praises. When you write, not all praises are honest. That's what happens. See, that's what happens. Wisdom makes a person, when they receive a praise, to not move a hair. I'm going to repeat this because this concept is not known, nor is it known by people. You can try a person by praising them. Like you can test them as well as with money or power. Just if you want to test a person, give them power. But also, give them praise. If you want to test them, give them praise. If you want to test them to see if they become big or if he stays the same, it doesn't affect them. The praise, no matter what praise you give him, he guides himself on what he believes. For example, an intelligent person, when they receive praise, they eliminate entirely the praise for himself and he looks for the motive of the praise. The motive of the praise. You understand what I'm saying? This is wisdom, even if you think that I'm speaking without advancing. This is all wisdom. Absolutely necessary. So then, when somebody praises you, if you want to be wise, immediately you have to check and analyze of why they are praising you. What is the motive behind a praise? Of somebody praising you, did that praise make you feel good? There's a problem already with your pride in yourself from the get-go. From the get-go, I tell you. No matter what you think, no matter, start to learn wisdom. If somebody praises you, if it's a girl and somebody comes and says, you're really beautiful, and the girl, she already blushes, and she feels something within that nobody ever told her that she was really beautiful. He made you feel very well. You're not in the path of wisdom. You're not. But it's the first deceit of a man that wants to pick up a woman to use her. Exactly. That he can see her like garbage, but he's not going to tell her. He says, you're beautiful. Those beautifuls, you have that smile, you drive me crazy, whatever praise. I'm just giving you the example of a woman, right? How should a woman act before praise? Immediately she has to look at the motive why she's being praised and not to feel like she is being praised. This is difficult, not to feel complimented. This is the difference between fools and wise people. An intelligent girl, nothing will move her, even if it's any man to come and tell her to compliment her. Your mind, if you want to be wise, it has to eliminate whatever emotion and to look for the motive of the praise. What is this person looking for to tell me this? What is he looking for? Now, if you feel really beautiful, something that generally girls don't feel that way, that is the reality. You have to say the truth here. They look in the mirror, and unless you're a true draw, you don't feel beautiful. You don't feel beautiful. In fact, you're hoping for somebody to tell you that you're beautiful because you don't see yourself as beautiful. And that's why all the women fall, because they don't see themselves as beautiful, and some guy that comes and compliments you, and that's it. She's given away. She gives herself away. Because he made her feel like no one else, because until she doesn't feel beautiful, and some guy comes and says, you're so special. Really? You're so beautiful. Really? You see me as beautiful? You see me as beautiful? Yeah, and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm garbage. I see beautiful girls in the movies with blonde girls, green eyes. I am a dark-skinned, ugly, with pimples, and you tell me that I am beautiful. That's it. She's bought. She's sold. Completely. Exactly. The contrary is, and these are examples, the contrary is that if a woman really feels beautiful, even if she's garbage in front of everyone, but if she feels beautiful, radiant inside, when somebody comes to praise her, it doesn't affect her because her opinion is already high. If your opinion, what does an intelligent person do? They have a high self-opinion. Because if you, this is contrary to what is taught to you. This is humility, actually, even if you think it's pride. No, if you have a high opinion of yourself, then if you fall in love with yourself and you like the face you see, and that you don't need blue eyes or green eyes, and you don't need to be of the white race, and you don't need to be Caucasian, and you don't need to have a nose the way you wish, then no praise will move. Anything will sweep you off your feet, and when the praise comes, it says, yeah, I know, I'm beautiful. And so then, just you look if the guy or the fountain has good intention or not, because it's not that a bad intention that they tell you that you're beautiful, because maybe your blueprint says you are really beautiful. He's really telling you. He really is telling you. So then you have to actually identify if the motive is true or not. What is what they're looking for? The same thing as men. The same thing as men. The same thing as everything in this life. The same if they praise you in whatever aspect of this life. Generally, when they praise a soccer player that has no talent, they destroy him. Because he thinks that he plays well and he plays worse. Because that's what happens, because he really believed it, that he really was Messi or Maradona. He thought he was that, and he was not. He wasn't that. But they like foam, they made him go up. It is very, very dangerous. In my case, no one has greater opinion of me than myself. That is the reality. That's reality, because I need that, because the last thing that Yahweh needs is for others to build me up. That the opinion of others to build me up. I could not be a leader or a Messiah ever. Messiah has to know that before Abraham was, I am. But even more important than Abraham. Or else you cannot be a Messiah. Just as Yeshua said. And who are you? Before Abraham was, I am. Suck on that. Just like that. Just like that. No matter what. And also, he doesn't care about people criticizing him. He doesn't care about people criticizing him. It doesn't destroy him. And praises don't build him up. That is a person that is stable. But what do I see when somebody praises me? I measure 2 or 3 or 4 things. since I know what I'm teaching, what I've taught, I know the level that they have because I know it, not because he told me, not because you tell me that today's study was great and brilliant. This is what tells me that it was good and brilliant. Thanks for telling me. Now I know the way it was. No. The opinion is mine, first of all, and I know what level the subject was. No matter if you don't say anything, if you criticize or you praise, the opinion is mine, and nobody can move me from there. It is my opinion. Because I know what I'm giving, the value that it has. But by knowing that, I read the comments, and I can evaluate many things. If they say, it was okay today, it was pretty, I see that person doesn't want to give credit because they have problems with pride. Immediately, I don't need his praise. I don't need it. But I evaluate like a judge what I read. Because I know at what level today's subject was or what I teach. So then a person that says, thanks for your information, that for me is enough to evaluate the person. If they say, give way too much praise, it also calls my attention. And I can evaluate what is the motive behind that. Generally, the motive behind that, generally, there are many. One is to others to look at them, to see who writes a better comment. So it's not that they really want to thank me. You know what the greater highness of a praise is to thank. To thank you for how useful you were. That is the maximum. If you want to exceed that, then you're doing it with other motives. With motives that somebody to praise you with what you write or what you wrote, or that you're the best commenter, for example. And if you say, if you don't comment, same thing. Everything that we do or stop doing shows who you are. It shows who you are. So then, what am I trying to say with all this? That the praises test you. If they build you up or destroy you, then you have to work in that aspect. You have to raise your self-esteem. Your self-esteem has to be your measuring rod, your self-esteem. If you don't have your own self-esteem, then they're going to either build you up or destroy you from without. There's no other, you'll be manipulated. There's no other option. A wise man has his self-esteem, and if somebody contrary comes, it won't affect him. If somebody comes to either elevate you, it won't affect you. It's only, he's going to judge that person. You understand what I'm saying? Well, that is what intelligence is. That is wisdom. And generally, men are destroyed. And Solomon tells you, and in this chapter, and I believe that the way we're doing today, we're not going to get there. You know why? Because today, this group, this Postero group, this Cenesa group starts the championship 2 p.m. in California. In other words, in an hour 36, the Boca Juniors game starts, and we're all Posteros here, so we're going to watch the Boca Juniors game. We're here, we're waiting for what has to happen, but we enjoy this. Since you bought the jerseys and all that, you can watch today's game, and even though we lose, I'll let you know, because either you became Posteros, you don't know nothing. The Posteros, we have a new technician, a new coach, which is Diego Martinez. Diego? I think so. Diego? Is it? Diego Martinez, right? Yeah, Martinez is for sure. And Martinez is Boca's coach, and the guy is pretty young, but I feel like he looks intelligent. He has an intelligent face, I like it, but we'll see how the team works out and all the rest. So then remember, we cannot place the links, but if you want to watch it, look for this, write it down. I can tell you orally. You can say LibreFutbolTV.net and FutbolLibreTV.net. Those are the websites I told you. Football Libre.
Grábenlo y
You
después
can watch
siempre
all
pueden ver todos los partidos
the
de fútbol gratis.
games for free.
Fútbol Libre,
FootballLibreTV.com. Let me look it up here. Yeah, Football Libre.
Sí, Fútbol Libre.
No, it's not this way.
No es
Football Libre
Fútbol.
Football in Spanish.
Ustedes pongan Fútbol Libre y busquen y
FUTBOL
Fútbol Libre
TV.
pongan. Pero también,
It's also,
a veces
the other one is
funciona
better.
con la
Just
otra,
Libre
Fútbol.
Football.
eso? Es una
FUTBOL. Those are
compañías
companies
que están en
that
contra
are against the commerce that is done
comercio que
in
se hace
football,
en el
in
fútbol.
soccer.
Y por lo menos
This
luchan.
isn't
Dicen,
that
"Pero
stealing.
eso
No, we don't
robar".
consider it
No,
to
podemos
steal.
robar. Nosotros
There's
robamos.
others that steal everything. Do whatever you want.
Hagan lo
But
que
we
quieran.
says
Pero
you want to watch
nosotros
it.
le decimos, "¿Quieren
I
verlo?".
Yeah. Don't
Sí,
don't
no,
post the
¿cómo?
link. Well, you can post it,
Lo
but
puedo
don't
poner acá,
post
pero
it
no lo
in
pongan
the
la laverdadeterna oficial porque
in
van a
LVE
bloquear
official
la
because they'll block your account.
Ok, pero ahí
But
en el
not in the
no
chat.
pasa nada, en el
You can place it there.
En el chat lo pueden poner.
But both
Tenemos
accounts,
esto,
Football
digamos,
Libre
Fútbol
and Libre
Libre y
Football.
Libre
So
Fútbol. Así
it's
que tenemos
we have
poco
little time.
tiempo.
Little
Tenemos
time.
poco tiempo.
Oh, it's
Yo
been an
ya
hour
voy hablando
23
una hora
already. We're not going to
23.
even get to the
Vamos a hablar
text
en
today.
texto, ya.
Oh, you can notice there,
¿Te
right?
das cuenta ahí, no?
You know, during the week they can do it. You
You
can notice that later, and you can tell me.
Y me lo vas diciendo.
And if once you read them,
Y si
we
ves
can
que la
erase
leas, la
them.
podemos
So then
borrar,
already,
entonces ya la-
very well. So then,
Bien. Entonces,
what
¿qué
is
es la
intelligence?
inteligencia?
A definition of
Una definición
ours,
nuestra
it is the
es
capacity
la
and
capacidad
intuition.
y la
Intuition, remember
La
that.
intuición.
Intuition.
Recuerden eso, la
No,
intuición.
more
Mientras
you have your
más
intuition
desarrollada
developed,
tengas la
the
intuición,
better it can go
mejor
in
va
your
a ir.
life. When your intuition
Cuando
is
tu
doesn't
intuición
work
no
well,
funciona,
you'll eat up
comes los
all the lies
falsos, las
and
mentiras,
stories
los,
and the greatest
eh,
deceits
engaños más
that
grandes
there's
que hay,
ever been
porque
because you
no
don't
lo
see it.
vas a
Your
ver.
intuition didn't detect
Intuición no
anything, so then
detectó
you
nada,
have to
entonces hay que afinarla más.
sharpen it
Para
for your
la
intuition. You have
hay que
to
afinarla
sharpen it.
más.
Very well. So then, for me,
Entonces, para mí,
the best
la
way,
mejor forma,
the better
o
definition
la
of this
mejor
text
definición de
of
este
Proverbs
texto,
2
de Proverbios
is
2, es
the one that the
la que dice la
New Living
NTV.
Translation says the
El
purpose of the
propósito
Proverbs
de
is
los
to teach
proverbios es
wisdom
enseñar sabiduría
and discipline
y
and to
disciplina
help
y
people
ayudar
to
a las
comprehend
personas a
intelligence
comprender
of the
la
wise,
inteligencia de los sabios,
the intuition
la
of the wise,
intuición
the
de los
capacity of the
la
wise. So then
capacidad de los sabios. Entonces,
we can learn the
podemos
capacity of the
aprender
wise.
la
Yes, of
capacidad de
course.
los sabios,
That's
por
why
supuesto,
Solomon,
para
there's a
saber
reason why he wrote this book, so that
para
we
que nosotros
may learn
aprendamos
the way of reasoning
forma
of
de
theirs.
razonar de él.
And by learning the
Y
reason
aprendiendo
of
la forma
his,
de razonar de él, nos
it
ayuda
helps
a
us
nosotros a razonar
reason
otras cosas.
other things, and we get to
Y
other
aprendemos otras
things.
cosas. Pero
In order for
para
us
que
to
nosotros
learn to
aprendamos a
reason,
razonar
we
como
have
un
to be
sabio.
wise. 3 of Proverbs.
Tres de
Number 3 of
Proverbios.
Proverbs.
Tres.
That's why I told you that
Por
this
eso les dije
subject,
que este tema,
what wisdom and
es
discipline
sabiduría y
is so
disciplina,
that you pay
es
attention
para que le presten
to
atención
start
para
to
ir
change, because we're going to
empezando a
talk about
cambiar.
many
Vamos a hablar de
different
muchos
subjects.
temas.
But like
Pero
these,
como estos,
the praises, for
las
example, the
alabanzas, por
praises
ejemplo.
either
¿Las
affect you
alabanzas
or
te
not.
afectan o no?
How many people
¿Cuántas personas se
died
mueren
due to
por
praises?
alabanza?
You know how many
¿Ustedes saben
people
cuántas
in the
personas de
eternal
la
truth have told me,
laverdadeterna me han
you
dicho,
never
"Usted no
put
me
any
pone
likes in the
nunca corazón en
invitations.
las
I
invitaciones.
need your little
Yo
heart and your
necesito su corazón y su
approval."
aprobación."
What does that speak to you? It talks about the people, talks about the person incorrectly, I mean, very badly of that person, because they're looking
Está
for
buscando un reconocimiento la persona. Lo
the
mismo
same thing
cuando
as if they
venían y
come
me
to,
decían,
my son
"Mi hijo
sings,
canta,
why don't you
¿por qué usted no
put
lo
him in
pone
your
en
preachings?"
sus predicaciones?"
Certain people that left and many others that didn't leave,
Muchos otros que no sepan.
because
Porque
they need
necesitan ese
to be
reconocimiento.
recognized, and that's the way I say it, because you know the word.
Usted conoce la palabra.
Caesar
César, el
of
caminos
the lost
extraviados,
paths needed to be
necesitaba
recognized,
ese reconocimiento.
and he
Y
needed
lo
it
necesitaba
to
morir.
death. He would
Quería
die
morir,
to be
se moría
recognized.
por ser reconocido.
That shows
Eso
their
muestra
personality,
su personalidad,
that
que de sabiduría es
it has no wisdom, absolutely zero. There's no
cero. No hay sabiduría.
wisdom there. There isn't.
No la hay.
If
Si
you would write a comment, like
le
many of
escribías
you
un
have done
comentario,
in
como muchos
private,
de ustedes le han hecho en
he would go
privado,
and say, now
él iba a
put it
decir,
in
"Ahora
private,
ponémelo en público."
because I want
Porque yo quiero
everyone
que
to
todos
read
lo
what you
lean lo
wrote.
que tú escribiste.
Things like that.
cosas así.
Not just him,
No solamente él,
all
todos
the
los que
ones
pasaban
that
por acá.
they
Querían
wanted their own
su
space
espacio
and to be
y que se
recognized.
les reconozca.
That could be a problem
Eso
of
puede ser un
yours.
problema tuyo.
Do you
Tú
need to be
necesitas ser
recognized? That's the
reconocido.
question.
La pregunta es,
Do you need to be
¿tú necesitas
recognized,
ser reconocido?
or do
¿O
you
tú te
recognize
reconoces
yourself
tú mismo
and you
y
understand
entiendes
the role
el
that you
papel
had
que te
to
tocó
develop
jugar
in
en
this
tu vida?
life? You have to understand
Eso
that
lo
very
tienes que tener
clearly.
muy claro.
It is part of
Es
the
parte de
intelligence.
la
Very well.
inteligencia.
3.
Bien, 3.
And that also goes hand in hand with how you give the praise. Exactly. Either excessive or not in the right moment or incorrectly, or you are a person that abstains yourself from praising. It's so crucial with praises. It's so crucial
Tan crucial.
that I know, give or take, I told you in the sense of this ministry and others. Let's take that out. Taking that out, in order for you to understand, I'll show you, which is a subject of life and death, your intuition. If you were
Si tú fueras
a capo in the mafia, or if you were a
o si
president,
tú fueras un presidente,
or if you were a
o
judge
si tú fueras un juez, en
with
un cargo donde
an
vas a estar
office
rodeado
where
de
you're going to be
personas,
surrounded
tú
and you need
necesitas
the best
las mejores
people
personas
to work with you,
para trabajar
and
contigo.
the last thing you
Y lo
want
que menos
are
quieres
bad people to work
son
with
malas
you.
personas para trabajar
And
contigo.
it is
Y es
fundamental because you
fundamental
are
porque
in an
estás en un cargo
office of
de
power,
poder.
if you're
Si sos
president or
presidente,
whatever.
si sos lo que sea.
There you have to
Ahí
be
tienes que ser
absolutely intelligent
inteligente,
and
perspicaz
intuitive
y intuitivo
to
para
determine if a
determinar
person
si
comes
una
to
persona
praise
viene
you
a alabarte,
of what the motive
cuál es
is of their praise.
tu alabanza.
It is the
Es
intention.
la intención.
It is the only
Es
thing
lo único
that
que
counts.
cuenta.
The only thing that
Es lo
counts.
único que cuenta.
To see if he's thankful, he's grateful, he wants something.
O quieres algo. Quieres sumar
He
crédito.
wants credit
Quieres una posición para
or a
poder
decision to
traicionar.
betray you later. You want
Quieres un
favoritism, but
favoritismo,
actually
pero en
it's
realidad
not that he
no
admires
es
it,
que
but
te admira, sino
you're
quieres
a place,
un
a
lugar,
position,
una
or
posición
something to
o
betray you.
algo para traicionarte.
It's impressive. I mean, it depends
Depende tu
in
vida,
your life for you to be able
que
to
sepas
discern
discernir
what people say.
lo que las personas dicen.
Depending,
Depende
your life
tu
depends on
vida
that.
de eso.
If you allow yourself to be praised, and because they praised you, you start to give positions. They're gonna stab you in the back when you least expect it, and you won't. But the best people to work with you, you're gonna put only those that praise you, but not the best. And you want to have the best. If you're intelligent, not those that praise you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then, it is crucial to discern the praise of the others. It is crucial. Your life depends on it, because it could destroy you entirely. Just imagine.
Imagínate.
En ese tema se pueden descubrir muchas intenciones que no se creen.
Also,
También.
secret intentions of the people,
Intenciones secretas.
whether they're honest. Sometimes they just praise you fakely. Most of the time, let's say that they just praise you to manipulate. Exactly, and they have a bad intention behind, and they praise you to influence in you, because that's something else that I haven't touched on. Generally, praises, if they affect you,
Si te afectan, te
they
doblegan
subjugate.
someten a la influencia de ellos. Porque te alabaron. Y
It's
entonces,
because they praised you, and so then you pay attention to
a lo
what
que
they'll
ellos
later
vengan
tell
a
you.
decirte.
And it could be
Puedes
completely
estar
incorrect,
totalmente equivocado,
but you're
pero tú
blinded
estás
by their
cegado por tus
praises,
alabanzas,
and so then
y
you
entonces
subjugate
te
to their
sometes a las
wrong
intenciones
intentions
y
of all the rest.
equivocaciones
It's
de
very
los
clear,
demás.
right?
Está bien claro eso.
That is more than clear.
Eso es clarísimo.
And as
Y
praise
tu
is also
alabanza
money.
también es dinero, ¿eh?
Con la alabanza vienen también los
Everything, whatever it could be, whatever it could be.
Todo lo que sea.
And you
Y ustedes,
apply that
ustedes aplican eso
evilly.
malvadamente.
I've seen
Yo
it
lo vi
in
en
how
cómo
the
trabajan los
Latins
latinos acá.
work here. I've seen
Yo
it,
lo
I'll
vi
say
y
it.
lo voy a decir.
Between
Entre
you,
ustedes
in the family, they come and they give gifts to each other, and they put yourselves in a position of helping by gifting what you need, and the only thing they're doing is not the intention that they want to help certain people, but rather in placing yourself in a position to be admired, and that for them to listen to you because you are a supplier of theirs, you
ustedes
manage that
manejan esa
evil
maquiavélica
action.
maquiavélica acción.
Because you don't do it
Porque
by
no lo
to
hacen
say, I'm
por
going
decir,
to
le voy a
give him
comprar una
something.
licuadora,
No,
lo
no.
que sea no, no.
You go to the
Van a las
houses,
casas,
they
le
take
llevan
food, they
comida,
take
le
help,
llevan ayuda,
and so
y
then
entonces parecen
you seem to be a
Dios
God
ustedes,
because you
porque
provide.
proveen.
It makes you
Y
feel
los hace
well.
sentir bien a ustedes,
You're the
son
Mother
Madre
Teresa,
Teresa.
makes you feel
Los
well.
hace sentir bien a ustedes,
And the
y
others
los otros
are obligated to
están
say,
obligados
oh,
a
many
decir,
thanks
muchas
for helping me.
gracias por ayudarme.
That is what
Eso
makes them
los
feel
hace
well.
sentir
But
bien.
it's not a
Pero
good
no es
action
una
in
buena
itself,
acción en sí,
but rather the
sino
motive
el
of
motivo de
feeling
sentirse
that you
que
influence
influyen
and
y
others
los otros los
admire you
admiren a
because you
ustedes
give.
porque ustedes dan.
You understand what I'm saying?
¿Me entienden lo que les digo?
You have to
Tienen que
self-analyze yourself and
autoanalizarse y
asking,
preguntar,
why
¿por qué voy a
am I going to
ayudar a
help this
tal
person
persona?
so that
Porque
I'm
me admira.
admired?
Pero
I've
es que,
seen
es
this
que yo lo he
a
visto
lot. I
mucho
can't
acá,
explain
no se
this
lo puedo
because it's
explicar
not in
porque no
me.
está en mí.
To go to
Ir a personas
people
a casas
to
con
their houses
regalos,
with gifts, with food,
comida,
with
con
time,
tiempo,
but it's
pero
only
solamente
to
para
be
que
admired
los admiren
and to
y para
influence upon them.
influenciarlos.
Y para influenciar también en las decisiones.
Exactly, exactly.
Exactamente.
I mean, it's
Es
tremendous.
tremendo.
Everyone
Lo
does
hacen
it.
todos.
In a
mayor
greater
o
or
menor
lesser
nivel.
level,
¿Quieres
you want to
conseguir
get
algo?
something.
Y claro,
Of course, either
o
you
haces
praise
alabanzas o
or
haces,
you give
regalos.
gifts. It's in
Está
the
la
intelligence
inteligencia
of
del
the
que
person that
recibe las
receives the
cosas,
things to know the
sabe la
intention
intención
they
con
come
que
with. Do you understand what I'm saying?
¿comprenden lo que les digo?
También le pasa mucho a los dirigentes y ahí está el cohecho, que vienen y te
This
compran
happens to
con dinero,
people that are coerced, that are in power.
te dominan.
And that's how your leadership depends. They're gonna, oh, now you're going to do this. Oh, because I gave you
Te
this.
voy a dar un ejemplo.
I'm going to give you an
Un
example.
ejemplo te
Let me
voy a
give you
dar,
an
por
example.
ejemplo.
Because maybe you
Por ahí
cannot
no logras
comprehend this because
comprender
nobody has ever
porque
told
nunca
you
nadie te lo
this.
dijo.
Let's suppose
Vamos a suponer
that
que
a person
una
has
persona tiene
a son,
un hijo.
and that son
Y ese hijo
marries
se casa
a girl,
con una chica.
and they
Y se mudan de la
move
casa,
out of the
¿verdad?
house. Let's suppose that they move
Se
out.
mudan de la
And
casa.
of course,
Y claro,
they're
están recién casados,
just married, they
tienen
don't have a
mucho
lot of
dinero y
money, and
tienen
they have a lot of
bastantes necesidades.
need. So then
Entonces
the
viene
mother
la
of
madre del muchacho
the guy comes with
con
all types of
todo tipo
food
de
and help,
comida y ayuda,
and
y
she
viene
comes
y
and
se-
she
se
installs herself
instala
many
varias
hours in her
horas en
house,
su casa,
many
varias veces por
times
semana,
during the week
para
to
venir a
help her
ayudar
son,
a su hijo,
her
a
precious
su
son,
precioso hijo.
and to him
Y para
to
venir a
give advice to the
aconsejar a
new
la
couple.
nueva pareja.
But actually, what she's
Pero en
doing is
realidad
to
lo que
take
está haciendo es
control of
tomar
that
control de esa pareja.
couple, so
Para
that
que se haga lo
what
que
she
ella
wants
dice.
is to be done, and you have to
Y
do
hay
it
que
because
hacerlo
she
porque
gives you
ella te da
things.
cosas.
Influence.
Influencia en la
She
nuera.
influences
La nuera
in
la termina
the
odiando.
daughter-in-law.
No sabe cómo sacársela de
The
encima.
daughter-in-law
Tampoco le puede decir nada porque
Can't
trae
do
comida.
anything about it, can't say anything
¿Me
because she
entienden lo que les
brings
digo?
food.
Eso se
You
ve
see that
en
in
todos
all
los
the
países
countries, the
latinos,
Latin
muchísimo.
countries.
No
Not so
tanto
many
los
in the
países
American countries like
americanos,
here,
como
which is
acá,
different
es otra
culture.
cultura.
But the
La
Latin
cultura
culture
latina
is
es
so
tan
engraved.
metida,
It's so
es tan
engraved.
metida
where
donde
it
no
should not
debe
be engraved.
meterse.
That's
Por
why
eso las suegras son
the
tan odiadas.
mothers-in-law are so
Porque se
hated because she
mete
goes in, for example, a
por ejemplo,
case.
un caso.
I'm not going to give
Voy a
any
dar nombre.
names, but it's good.
Pero está bueno,
It's good.
está bueno.
A mother
Viene
comes
una madre
with their
con su
married
hijo
son
casado ya hace
for
años.
many years already, and she
Y
finds
se
out that the
encuentra que
son
el
is
hijo está
working, so then
trabajando. Entonces
she tells
le
the
dice a la
daughter-in-law,
nuera,
I
yo
brought
acá le traje
the food
la
that my
comida que
son
mi hijo
loves
le
and
encanta
his
y la más
favorite.
preferida de él.
And
Y
the
la nuera le dice,
daughter-in-law says, but I
"Pero
already
tú ya
made the
le
food.
diste
No,
la
no, no,
comida".
no,
nena, vos no
girl,
sabés
you don't know
lo
what
que
he
a mi hijo le
likes.
gusta.
So
Así
then
que
you're going to
le
give him
vas a dar
this to my
esto a
son.
mi hijo.
It's a real
Es un
case.
caso real,
I don't want to
No
mention
quiero
this,
nombrar porque
because we're too
estamos
close
muy
from the
cerca de
cases
casos
here.
de-
I
lo
reformed
reformé un
it so
poco
that
para
it's
que se
understood.
entienda.
It is the
Es la
influence.
influencia.
You know what the son
¿Sabes
has
qué
to do
tiene
with
que hacer
that?
el hijo
Tell
con
mom,
eso? Decirle,
don't
"Mira,
bring me
mamá, no me
absolutely
traigas
anything.
absolutamente más nada.
I don't want
Pues
anything.
no
I
quiero
don't want
nada,
your
no quiero
influence.
tu
I don't want
influencia, no
anything.
quiero
When I
nada.
got
Yo
married,
cuando me casé,
I
prohibí que me
prohibited them
vengan
to
a
come
visitar.
visit
Mi
me.
papá a veces
My
pasaba
dad
un
would come here
ratito y
just a
como
little
iba,
bit,
y
and
se
then
iba
the
también.
way he came,
No
he would
venía
leave
nadie a
as
mi
soon as
casa.
he came
No
because there was
tenía
no
la
influence from
influencia de
anyone, not
nadie,
even
ni
for
para
good or
bien
evil.
ni para mal.
Just like that, not
Así,
for
ni
good
para
or
bien
evil,
ni
not
para
that of
mal.
my
Ni la de
house,
mi
not
casa,
that
ni
from
de la casa de
Leslie's
ella,
house, which is
que era
even
muchísimo
less
menos
than
metido que lo de mi casa.
those of my house.
Muchísimo menos
People
metido.
that,
¿Cómo es el latino?
how do the Latinos want to do? They want to govern their sons. They control them their whole life. And to top it off, to provide, to see them as the mother
papá y la mamá que proveen.
and father that provide. Same thing is coercion. It's coercion.
Es soborno
Literal coercion.
literal.
Because if you were to tell me the father and mother comes and they leave a little help and doesn't enter, I left you a little help, do whatever you want. It'd be very different than to enter and to impose their presence. It's not good for them to impose their presence. There are so many things that where we act incorrectly. We get into other people's lives on a permanent basis. In a permanent basis. Why? Because it's all our culture. We have to visit, and if our children were to live in a room with us, it'd be a lot better. Maybe we could control them absolutely of our daughter-in-law, of what she eats, what she likes. No, absolutely incorrectly. The contrary of wisdom, same thing of what we're talking about. Same thing. And I know that you practice it. I know. You still want to have influence upon your children. You want to rule your children, at least subconsciously you need that. And you know what the women end up having. I'll tell you. Breast cancer. Breast cancer responds to that the mother still has the need of feeding with her tit to feed her son. Because she feels the imperial need that she as a mother, she's seen her son, even if he's 40 years old, that she has to feed him, she has to give her tit to her son. They don't know how to cut and say, you got married, that's it. It's if I see it once a year, that's fine. How? No, they call him on the phone, and you have to listen to this lady. Continues to influence. They don't want to cut the flow. They don't want to cut with the flow. Because it's her son or daughter. It isn't so. It doesn't work that way. That is complete DHS in every extreme. The fathers and the sons. Same thing. I want you to understand that. What Leslie said. The Messiah cannot have that intrusive form. Because otherwise they can't be a Messiah. The kings cannot have that form. They can't have it because the whole humanity be their sons, and so they're gonna want to rule and to get into everybody's life. Exactly. That is what will happen. So then you have to learn to leave the people go free, without submitting them to praises or give them things to have influence upon them. Very well. There's a lot more to speak about this, but a lot more. But also, we get to the Boca Junior scheme. 3. In order to receive advice. It doesn't say advice. The word is musar. It's discipline. To receive the discipline of prudence, justice, judgment, and equity. Let's look at every word. The word which is the discipline of prudence. The word is sakal. H19. And sakal means many things. It's so great, sakal is. But prudence, it is because they wanted it. They wanted to call it that. It actually means intelligence. Also, another word that could be translated as intelligence. To teach, to understand, understandment, success, to prosper, prosperity, prudence, wisdom, and wise. So then, what is the word prudence? Prudence in Spanish doesn't tell me a lot in Spanish. The word prudence is to do something and be cautious. It's more than that. It is to learn discipline from wisdom, I'll say. Another word that wisdom means. But prudence it passes. But actually, it is not prudence, but rather to think wisely. That is what it is. Sakal. To think wisely. That is what it is. Very well. The other word? What is it? Oh, an LVE? An anonymous question? Okay. Okay. It's just an anonymous member. You can read it yourself right there. Okay, where is it? In the LVE official group in Facebook. You can see it there. Hold on a moment. It's very interesting. Let's see. Let's go to the Facebook group. Okay, they're gonna block it if they post it. They
Sí,
can
te pueden llegar a bloquear
block
toda la
even
cuenta.
the account.
Sí.
Don't place
No
it because
pongan
they're gonna
porque
block
les van a
even the
bloquear toda la
account. It
cuenta.
happened
Le
to
pasó a
Edgardo.
eso,
Edgardo Heyer.
Edgardo Heyer.
Anonymous post.
Ah, mirá.
Anonymous post. Okay, I'm not reading
no
it
estoy
yet.
leyendo todavía. Leí que puedo postear el Anonymous post.
It's the new post below that. Features.
Feature 3 new dice. O yo,
Okay, you can read it to me later.
Porque
So I
yo no
can't find it here.
lo-
Anonymous post.
No encuentro nada.
There it is. There it is.
Por ahí ponen, no, justo abajo.
Below what I posted, it says new post.
El tuyo sale.
You
el
can't
mío
see it in yours. You can see it maybe just in yours.
El que quiera probar y hacer.
That's
eso
what I
yo
said,
veo,
what
lo
you
que vos pusiste.
posted.
Ok, hacele reload.
Okay, reload it.
Reload.
Reload it. Reload.
Reload.
Well, we have anonymous. No,
No. No me sale.
I'm sorry.
Lamento.
I don't see it.
En LB oficial, ¿no?
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Ahí estoy.
I'm at
Estoy en
discussion future.
Future, ¿tengo que poner?
No,
No,
not
future,
future.
No, features no.
Well, you can
Bueno,
read to me
después me lo
later.
lees, no hay problema.
You can read to me
Después me lo
later.
lees.
That's how
Facebook.
Facebook is. I see
Una
something,
cosa,
you
vos
see
ves
something
otra.
else. It's just,
Sí, depende
that's
de la
how.
computadora.
What happens? Look,
Mira,
here I'm at. Look,
Acá estás
look
viendo.
at it.
Mira, acá estás viendo.
Viste que ahí en azul dice nuevo posteo.
¿A dónde en azul dice?
Right there where it
nuevo
says
posteo?
new post, right there.
Abajo de lo que yo posteo en línea.
Acá dice most relevant, no dice nuevo post.
Abrilo.
Open it right there.
Pone último posteo.
New
Newest
activities.
activity.
Último posteo.
Ok.
De nuevo.
New post.
New post. Ah, ok.
New post.
New post.
Very well.
Bien.
The
Dice
question
la pregunta
says,
por leerla de una vez. Dice, ¿es un mito que las mujeres
is
tienen
it a
un
myth
sexto
that
sentido
women
que perciben
have a
las
sixth
cosas
sense and
en
they
mayor
perceive
grado que
things
los
in a
hombres?
greater
Llega a ser
measure than
más
men?
aguda la
Is
intuición
intuition
en las
greater
mujeres que
in
los hombres?
women
No,
than
es
in
un
men?
mito.
No, it's a
Lo
myth,
es,
an absolute myth.
absolutamente un mito.
It's a myth.
Es un mito.
Depends
Eso depende
about
del hombre y la mujer.
men and women.
Por lo
Generally,
general, el hombre está más
men
sumido
are
en
more
sus
in their
actividades
activities like a
como
slave
burro y
and the
esclavo,
work, and so
entonces
they
no
didn't
desarrolla
develop that
esa
part.
parte,
But it's a
pero
myth.
es un mito. El cerebro
The
del hombre y la
brains
mujer,
of men and
para mi
women,
punto de vista, tiene
in my point of view, they have
aproximadamente las mismas
approximately the same
capacidades.
capacities.
Solo que unos
It's just that
desarrollan
some
la
developed
mujer
women
tiene
have more
más
time
tiempo a
sometimes. They have more
Tiene
time.
más tiempo que perder.
The maternal instinct, it could be,
Pero entonces
but then we
estamos
are saying that
diciendo que
yes,
sí.
and I'm
Y
saying
yo
that it
digo que
isn't.
no.
There are
Hay
men that
hombres
have
que
more
tienen más
intuition than certain
intuición que
women.
ciertas mujeres.
There are mothers that are a disaster, yes.
Te digo,
There are
hay
men that have
hombres
more
que tienen
intuition
más
than
intuición
other
que otras mujeres,
women
¿sí o no?
are not, then it's a myth.
Entonces es un mito.
It's a myth.
Es un mito.
Depending on the individual, depending on the individual.
Por lo general, las
Generally,
mujeres por ahí desarrollan
people,
más eso,
women
porque tienen
develop
más
that
tiempo, son más
more, like you
agresivos.
say.
Eso puede ser. Que lo desarrollen más, pero los hombres lo podrían desarrollar.
Men could develop it, the greatest.
Grandes. Gente que están en el poder tienen mucha intuición, les
They-
puedo asegurar.
Have a lot of intuition, I can assure you.
No crean ustedes que los chicos rojos tienen
Don't
poca
think that
intuición.
the red
No,
children have
no.
little intuition. Don't think they have lots of
Tienen
intuition.
muchísima intuición, saben lo que hacen. Saben lo que hacen.
Wow.
El Anonymous, no se
You
puede
don't
saber
know what
quién
it
es.
is. We can't find out who it is.
Bueno, a
Well,
mí
I
me
do
sale
see
quién
who it
es.
is. Do you see who it
¿A vos te
is?
sale quién es?
If
Sí,
I
yo
place
pongo
the
el
cursor, it
cursor,
says who it
sabe
is.
quién es.
Yes.
Sí.
Look,
A
right
ver,
there, you
mira,
can see
ahí
it.
lo estás viendo.
Solamente los administradores, ¿no?
I don't
Eso
know.
no sé,
Do you
vos
see?
lo sabes, viste, toca el cursor.
Okay. Ask
Ok, pero
everyone if they know who it
sabe
is.
quién es, porque si no, no tiene ninguna-
Well, it's the
Pero
same
está
thing
mal,
then.
entonces.
It
No
didn't
sirvió,
work. It
chicos,
didn't
eso
work.
no sirvió.
Because I can see
Yo
who it
puedo
is.
ver quién es.
So it's
Así que
anonymous
es
for the
anónimo
rest,
para
but
otro
not for
tema,
me.
pero no para mí.
No sabía eso.
I didn't know that.
Bien,
Very well.
ok, seguimos entonces.
No, we're
No,
just
no,
testing.
estamos probando.
We're just testing. Exactly.
Exactamente.
Creo que vea eso.
Pero para eso
They
que
can
me quiero
just
directamente-
write directly
el
to
tema
me.
es que ni yo vea, ese era el tema. Que ni yo vea, claro. Estamos en 290 likes.
It's 290 likes. I don't have to ask you more. We have more likes than people watching.
Gente que está mirando. Y 269 están mirando ahora en vivo. ¿Cómo no les importa este tema? Porque si fuera profético, empiezo a hablar de las cosas. Hay muchos más. Este tema no les importa, pero está bien.
Okay, I find that to be correct. There are many people that don't like this.
Está más que correcto. Al final, si ustedes notaron,
In the end of it all,
para no
so as to not cut the video and that you can greet you, I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes when I end, and I'll stop the microphone. I'll give you the picture. Also, I'll cut the transmission, and they want it, and it would cut everybody.
Entonces le doy al final cuando termino yo y pongo 1 o 2 minutos.
1 or 2 minutes, I'll place the picture of the video, and then you can finish the greetings. Very well. So then we know one already. It's not advice, it's not discipline of prudence. It is discipline. It is discipline of thinking wisely, like this. Thinking wisely, the first one. Very well. Second of all, justice. The word is tzedek. It's correctly translated as justice. You don't have to do absolutely anything there. It is discipline of justice. Third, judgment. The word is mishpat, judgment. And it is mistranslated. Well, that's fine. It's correct. It should say to judge. Discipline to judge, but oh well. If discipline of judgment, with judgment, it could be understood that you can have a judgment that you act well. Has nothing to do with judging, but actually just act well. You speak that way, right? You have to have good judgment. Has nothing to do with judging, but just to act well. I don't like the word judgment, but discipline to judge. The word is precisely mishpat, which means to condemn, custom, decree, crime, anything that has to do with judgment, to judge, to litigate, blah, blah, blah. We don't need anything else. The word is to judge, so then this should say, let me read it to you the way it should say. To judge, and the last one says equity. That one, they really got a trophy there because no one got in the right translation, and I looked it up in other translations. No, nobody got the translation because equity has nothing to do with what the original text says. So then, what are the Proverbs good for? It's for discipline of thinking wisely, justice, discipline to judge, and discipline, not equity. The word, it was the H4334 is pronounced or it's written Mishor. Mishor. What does Mishor mean in the dictionary? It means precisely verticality, also as justice, precisely, but actually the greatest definition is to level, to erect, to straighten, equity, not equity, but for something to be flat, straight. Justice has got nothing to do with it, that it is plain, rectitude. So then what does the word mishor mean? It is to straighten or to correct. It is not equity. It is not equity. Why did it say equity? Because something that is level, that is equal, is that it's straight. But it is, of course, but we say equity is that we have to be equal with others. It's not the word. We need discipline for what? To straighten, to correct. It's a lot better. The definition. So how would this text be read? I'll read it to you because I translated it the way of the intention of Solomon was. Translation of LVE. The Proverbs are to receive discipline, to think wisely. Discipline of justice. Discipline to judge, and discipline to straighten or correct. I didn't decide which of the two words, so then I said to straighten or correct, not equity. Because
porque
we
necesitamos
need discipline
disciplina para
to
enderezar.
straighten,
Para
to
enderezar
straighten
cosas
things of
nuestras y
ours and
enderezar
straighten
cosas
of
a
those
lo
that we're
que estamos
judging,
empujando.
to
Para
correct things
corregir
of
cosas
ours and to
nuestras y
correct
para corregir
those that
aquello
are
que sea
necessary
necesario corregir.
to
Entonces no es
straighten. So it's not
equidad.
equity.
Porque equidad
Equity
para
for
nosotros
us
es
is
como
like
una
to be
equidad, voy a
equal,
hacer bien sin irme de un
to
lado
be
para otro.
impartial. No, it's got nothing to do with
tiene
that.
que ver con eso.
The text of Solomon is to receive discipline in order to think wisely, and discipline of justice, discipline to judge, and discipline to straighten or correct. Precisely, those four characteristics are the ones that the Messiah needs. The Messiah needs to think wisely, to be just, to be a perfect judge, and to straighten or correct the whole world. That is what the Messiah needs. I'll leave you with that true translation. 4. To give subtlety to the simple, to the young men knowledge and discretion. Interesting, but that is not the best translation. Because let's read others. I'll explain this text. I'll explain it in a bit. Let us go to Jerusalem 2001. Proverbs 1:4, Jerusalem 2001. To teach austerity to the simple, knowledge and reflection to the young men. The Proverbs are, remember, you need that because it comes from number 2. In the New Living Translation, it says, these proverbs, they added it because so you understand, these proverbs will give insight to the simple, knowledge, and I see it as knowledge because I've explained it to you. It sounds better and you understand it better. Knowledge and discernment to the young. But very interesting. It's one of the best. The TNM Bible, I forgot what it was. What it stands for. In the new, the translation of the New World. Okay. It is from the Jehovah's Witness. Reads as follows. To give insight to the unexperienced and capacity of thought for the young men and knowledge. It's excellent. The last one I'll read here is the Bible of the Simple Language, which in this one, I mean, it's always a bad one. It got the concept. These proverbs come as a purpose that you, the young men, become wise. Correct your conduct and understand well said words and well thought of. It also helps for those that have no experience, so that they are cautious, honorable, and just in everything. That they show skill and knowledge, and they think, well, what they do, it's long, but it's give or take. The concept, that it's why it's so important, this book of Proverbs is. And it's very important if you read it when you're young. If you read it and you understand it and you apply it as a discipline, or else it's no good. We'll start with the first word. To give subtlety. Subtlety, it's well translated, but there's another word that would be better translated, which would be to be smart. It's very similar, I know, to be astute. To be astute. Like a serpent. Astute. Orma in Hebrew. In the dictionary 86195. Orma. What does orma mean? Orma means, in the good sense of the word, stealth, discretion, cunningness. So cunningness is okay to be cunning in the good sense of the word, but to be astute is to the simple, to make the simple astute. I've explained this many times. You know how we said it in Hebrew, do you remember? Do you remember?
Hace muchos años, no lo puedo ni culpar,
Petit, correct.
Bien, Héctor, petit.
Hector doesn't remember anything in Spanish, but he does remember that. Petit.
Petit.
Exactly.
Exactamente.
The
La
word
palabra
is petit.
petit.
H6612. And
Y
it's
es
a
mucho
lot
más que
more than
simple.
simple. The
La
word
palabra
petit means
significa
deceit,
engaño,
ignorant,
ignorante, sencillo, simple,
simpleton.
simpleza. Si yo
If
digo
I say
simple,
simple, a
me da a
simpleton,
entender algo que no es
it
muy
makes me
complicado.
understand something that's not too
Y no me gusta la
complicated.
palabra
I don't like the
simple,
word simple.
porque no
It's
está
not
hablando de
talking
personas
about simple
simples.
people.
Una persona
A
simple,
simple person,
casi
I
que
seem
la
like a
gran
good
persona
person,
buena, no
not
es
complicated.
complicada, es simple.
They're simple. I don't like the
No
word
me gusta
simple.
simple.
I like the
Me
word
gusta la palabra
ignorant.
ignorante.
That
Esa es la
is the word
palabra
of
de
a
un
petit,
petit,
not of
no
a
de un
simple,
simple, no de
a
un
simpleton,
simplón, sino de
but of
un
an ignorant
ignorante.
person.
Y
And
no
not just
solamente
ignorant,
ignorante, es
it is also
engañado.
deceived, which
Que
that
eso
is
es
the
la característica
main characteristic
principal
of all
de toda la
humanity.
humanidad.
It is
Es
an
ignorante, y
ignorant
por ser
fool,
ignorante es
and
engañado.
because of that, he is deceived.
Porque los
Because
ignorantes
ignorant
son
people are
engañados.
deceived.
Nosotros
We have
tenemos
things
cosas
of
de
ignorance
ignorantes
and
y
also of
también
deceit.
engañados. Pero
But
lo
how
que
we
vamos
see
viendo,
that, we
vamos
change when we
cambiando, lo que
catch
vamos
things
pudiendo.
like that. We see
Nacimos todos
we were all born as petit.
eso de ya. Nos
We were all
engañaron todos,
deceived.
nuestros padres, la
Our
iglesia,
fathers,
los
the
maestros,
churches,
la
science,
ciencia, el
government,
gobierno,
everything,
todos
they've
nos
all deceived
engañaron,
us.
todos.
But
Pero
we
salimos
got
de esa,
out of
de
that
esa
condition,
condición
that
simplística,
simplistic
para decir una linda palabra,
situation,
simple,
to use a good word,
para
simple
volverlo
to become
complicado,
complicated. You know,
pero
it's
que no
not
es
simple.
simple.
Either
O
you're
sos
simple
sos
or
complicado.
complicated.
Y yo prefiero
And I prefer a simple person that is clear, because to be simple is also clarity. I speak simple and clearly. Am I speaking like an ignorant? I don't like the word simple. I would like for it to have used ignorant and deceit, those two. Those two. So then we take out with the text that says to give cunningness in the good sense of the words to the ignorant, to give stealth to those that are deceived. Perfect, because precisely it's the contrary to a wise person. They are ignorant, and if they're ignorant, they ignore the danger that comes. Very well. So we have that word, petit. Let's go to the following word, which says to give cunningness to the ignorant and to the young men intelligence. The word intelligence is correct there? The word intelligence, which is used here, is the word that, which we could use it also as wisdom, intelligence, science, knowledge. So then I think that word is correct. Intelligence, that's fine. Intelligence or wisdom, that's fine. Even though intelligence could be more the capacity, but it goes hand in hand with wisdom. And actually, we're looking for intelligence also. We want our capacity to be expanded in order to receive wisdom. But what happens is that it doesn't say intelligence. This is a lie. How should this say? Let's start. To give cunningness to the ignorant and young men. Here comes another expression in Hebrew. It doesn't say intelligence, insanity. It doesn't say that. I get so upset for them to lie to my face. I get so upset because it doesn't say intelligence and sanity. It would seem that it would be two things. What is sanity? To act well, to not act crazy. That is not what the wise man Solomon is saying. The young men don't need, well, once they need sanity, that's fine, but it's not what Solomon says. And it's not two things, but one. Intelligence is fine. What is the other word? The other word is. The word that is translated as sanity is the H209, which in Hebrew is mesima. 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 What is that mesima? What is that mesima? Well, it is used both for good as well as for evil. I'll read it to you the way it is and I'll explain. A plan. Usually evil. So then,
casi que
So mainly,
mayormente
it's
es un
an
plan
evil
perverso.
plan.
Maquinación pusieron entre comillas.
Machination,
Usualmente
usually
perverso.
evil, sometimes
Algunas veces
good.
bueno,
Sagacidty,
sagacidad.
wicked
Abominación,
device,
artificio,
discretion,
consejo, cordura,
intent,
discreción,
witty,
imaginación,
invention,
maldad,
lewdness,
maquinación,
mischievousness, device,
pensamiento
thought
perverso.
wickedly. I looked for a
Busqué
whole
una
bunch
cantidad
of
de textos que no se
text.
los
You
voy a
can
dar,
look it
los pueden
up
buscar ustedes
in the
en la
concordance,
concordancia,
Strong's
Strong.
dictionary, that when it talks
Cuando habla
about
la maldad del corazón,
the
usa esta
evilness
palabra.
of the heart, it
Cuando
uses this
habla
word.
el
The
hombre
word
maquina maldades,
acts
usa esta palabra.
mischievously, it uses this
Cuando
word. When it
habla
says God
Dios
thinks, it uses
piensa,
this word.
usa esta palabra.
So then,
Entonces,
what is the
¿qué
word?
es
Is
la
it good
palabra? ¿Es mala
or
o
evil?
buena?
It's not good
Realmente no
or
es ni
evil.
mala ni buena.
It is the
Es la
word
palabra
plan
plan o
or planification,
planificación,
nothing
nada más.
else, nothing else.
Nada más.
Doesn't
No indica
indicate
que sea
that it's
malo,
evil,
aunque
although the
la
definition says
definición dice
usually
usualmente
evil.
malo.
No, it's not usually
No es
evil.
usualmente malo.
It's just
Solo
that
que si
if
se
it is
usa
used
en una
in
oración, los malos
that the evil
planifican,
men are
¿qué tiene
cunning
que ver
or
la palabra
planify,
planificar? ¿Me
you
entiendes
know,
lo
what
que
does
te
that have
digo?
anything
Ya
to
te
do?
estoy
It says
diciendo
that
que
they're
son los
evil.
malos. Entonces
So
la
then the word
palabra
in
por sí
itself does
misma
not
no
indicate
indica maldad
evil or wickedness
o
or
justicia.
injustice. It
Indica
indicates one thing:
una sola cosa,
to
planificar
plan
mentalmente.
something
Hacer un
mentally,
plan, una
a
estrategia.
strategy. If
Si lo
God thinks
piensa
it, okay,
Dios,
it's
claro,
good.
es bueno.
If
Si
the
lo piensan los
evils
malos,
think
es
it,
mala.
it's
La
evil.
palabra
It's
no
not
es
good
ni
or
mala
evil.
ni
The
buena.
word in itself, it's like in Spanish,
Comunicación,
simply,
sencillamente
it's a plan.
un plan.
The plan
El plan
could
puede
be
ser
evil,
malo o el plan
or
puede
the
ser bueno.
plan could be good.
Pero la palabra en sí plan no
The
es ni
word
malo
plan
ni bueno.
is not good or
¿Entienden lo que
evil.
les digo?
Do you understand what I'm
Entonces me
saying?
da bronca la
I hate the
tendenciosidad de los
translators
traductores
to
y de los
have
que
a
explican aún del
tendency
diccionario Strong.
to
¿Qué
add
tiene?
their own
Usualmente
thoughts.
malo.
Why
No,
is
no,
it said
usualmente
usually
malo
evil?
no.
No, it's
Nunca
never
malo,
evil
nunca
or good.
bueno. Hay que
You have
ver
to see what
qué
type
tipo
of
de
plan
plan
it'll
se
be,
va a
but the
hacer.
plan
El
itself
plan
is
en sí
not
mismo
evil
no es malo ni
or
bueno.
good. Do you understand what
¿Sí
I'm
se entiende lo
explaining?
que explico?
Okay.
Okay.
So then,
Entonces,
how should this be
esto?
read?
Muy
Very
claro.
clearly, it should read as
Debería
follows:
decir así. Para dar
give
astucia a
sagacity
los
to the ignorant,
ignorantes y
and
a
to
los
the young man,
jóvenes
planification,
planificación inteligente.
intelligent planification. It's very
Ya está
clear.
bien claro.
There,
Ahí
it
toma
has the concept. It
concepto.
doesn't
No
say
dice
sanity.
cordura,
What is
dice
sanity?
cordura.
No.
Los jóvenes necesitan
The young
un
men need a
plan,
plan,
una
an
planificación
intelligent
inteligente.
planification. And I
Y le
added,
puse
or
o
wise, which is the
sabia,
same thing.
era lo mismo. Planificación
Wise
sabia
or
e
intelligent
inteligente.
planification.
Yo
This is
lo
the way I
traduje de esta
translated
forma.
it.
Para,
What
¿para
are
qué
the
son los
proverbs for?
proverbios?
To
Para
give
dar
sagacity
astucia
to
a
the
los
ignorant
ignorantes y
and
engañados.
deceived, and
Y a
the
los
young man,
jóvenes,
wise or
planificación sabia e
intelligent
inteligente.
planification.
¿Qué
What do the young men
necesitan los
need?
jóvenes?
Young
Los
men
jóvenes
need
necesitan un
a
plan
plan
para
for
su
their
vida.
life.
Si los jóvenes
If
trazan
the
un
young
plan,
men trace
las
a
cosas
plan,
les va bien.
things go well off for them.
Las cosas les va
Things go
bien.
well
Si
off
ellos
if they
trazan
trace a
un
plan.
no sé
No,
qué
I don't know what I'll
estoy
do,
trabajando acá, y salga lo que
whatever
salga.
for it to happen.
Si conozco a alguien,
If I know
por ahí
someone,
me
maybe I'll get
caso,
married, I'll
le
give them
hago
a
un
son,
hijo, y
and
ellos
they
van
do
haciendo las
things
cosas
just
tum,
as
tum, es lo que
what
salga.
comes.
No tienen un plan. No
Going day
dicen,
by day, they
mi
wing
meta
it.
este año
They don't
es
say,
juntar
my
plata
plan
y
for
comprarme
this
una
year
casa.
is to have money
No
and
les
buy a
dije
house.
hace
They don't
muchos
tell you
años
this
el plan.
right for you.
Escriban sus
Write your
planes.
goals.
Empieza a
That's
hacer
what a
un
plan is. Write your goals. What am I
Escriban
going to
sus
do?
planes. ¿Qué voy a hacer?
If you don't
Si
write your
ustedes no
goals,
escriben las
if you
metas, si
don't
ustedes no
planify,
planifican,
then
no se
you
logra
don't
nada.
achieve anything. It's like I'm
Como
going to
voy a
make a
hacer una
house,
casa, entonces
but
hoy
today I'll
voy a
do
hacer
this, I'll
esto,
leave it
tiro
there.
todo
You
ahí.
can't
No se
build
puede construir
something physical
algo
without a
físico
plan.
sin un plan.
You need a
Se
plan.
necesita un plan.
If you
Si
build
lo
it without a
construimos sin
plan,
plan,
then we have
tenemos
Tijuana,
Tijuana.
for example. For
que
it to
salga
look
para la
fucked
chingada.
up.
Hoy
To,
pongo un
today I'll
ladrillo,
place
mañana pongo un pedazo
a
de otro
brick, and
ladrillo de
tomorrow
otro
another
color,
brick from
conseguí
different
eso,
color,
después una
and
lona,
then
después
to
una chapa,
put
una
just
lámina, y
metal
después
and just
lo que
whatever I
encontramos
find in the
así,
garbage. That's how I
porque
built.
tenemos una villa
And
que
then
no
we have
solo
villages in
Tijuana,
Tijuana.
también
We
es
have in
Argentina, no
Argentina.
crean
Think that
ustedes que en la villa
in
argentina no
Argentina
se
they don't
construye
do the
mismas
same things
construcciones,
in the
las
villages.
villas. Y uno va
And you
construyendo
build like
para
dogs,
la
it's just
chingada,
whatever
lo que
comes
venga.
because there's
Pues
no
no hay
planification. I
planificación,
don't
no
plan
planeo
anything, it's
nada,
whatever
es lo que
comes.
venga, lo que me
What the
diga
day
me
brings
traiga.
me.
Entonces,
So
así
then
voy, y
today
hoy
I'll
me
bring
trajo una
something, I
cosa
grabbed
y
it,
lo
and
agarré,
I
conocí una
knew this
chica
girl,
y
and
me
I
acosté
laid with
y
her,
la
and
dejé
I
embarazada,
got her
bueno,
pregnant.
sí pasó,
Well,
y no tengo
I don't
plan,
have
no
a
tengo
plan. I
nada,
mean, I
no tengo nada.
knocked her up.
Y después
Then I
me
noticed
di
I
cuenta que
didn't
no la
love
quería,
her,
pero
but
como
since
no
I didn't
tenía
have
un
a plan of what I would do in life. There was no plan. When he gets to be an old, what did you build? Well, I built a dog shit life. Why? That is why the young man, because when you're older, you could planify, but it's kind of a bit late. You can start certain things, but it's almost all built already. The boss says, well, your building will be tested in fire. If you build like dog shit, it'll all get burned. If you build with gold and precious silver and precious stones, that building will stand the test. That is why it's so important, if you listen to me, to have a plan. If you're young men, always a plan. If you have a plan for whatever thing, for whatever emergency, that plan, it comes perfectly well when something happens. If you have a plan of how to defend yourself if thieves would come to your house, it's not the same thing as if you didn't have a plan and to say, I don't know, no one will ever enter here. If they enter, then we'll see. Somebody could enter there, and you'll be paralyzed, and you won't act because there's no plan. You don't have something planned. A plan is to foresee a situation, see what you want to do. So then, as a young man, you have to have a plan. And for example, your plan could be, okay, I'm 20 years old. My plan would be to start to build something. Like it could be a business, as it could be a life. Not to look for a woman when you don't have anything. That would be the worst plan, that you have the worst petit that exists. To be guided by your hormones. Is that a plan? By your hormones? That's how they all end up. No, because I felt I had a need. Yeah, well, that's the way it ended up. And now get fucked. But the guys that plan by saying, okay, I'm going to plan something. If I get married, I'm going to prepare myself to get married. At least I'll gather some money. If there's no possibility to have a house, at least I can rent something that I already planned to be independent in order to be able to achieve a home. So then if your mission is to get married, for example, the young man, you don't have to think about getting married. You have to think in preparing what's necessary to get married, to be married. Not to say, Mom and Dad, can I live here in my house there? That's where I have my girlfriend and I got her pregnant and I don't have anything. I don't even have a job, nothing. And that's how they all start. Now, an intelligent boy, an intelligent man, he says, I want to be independent. Since I learned wisdom, I don't want to live under the influence of my parents. I don't want to. I know it's convenient because I won't have to pay rent. I don't want that because I want to be intelligent, not a stupid idiot, not a petit. So then what I want to do is to leave the influence of my parents because I consider myself to be a wise person. If I'm learning wisdom in LV says never, ever, ever get married and live with your parents. That's what LV tells you. So then if you do the contrary, you didn't care about the wisdom of LV. You didn't care about it. So then if you don't get married, I find that to be okay. You have to prepare. And to prepare yourself in your life outside of your parents' home. You don't have to buy a house. It would be the ideal. It's almost impossible now. But you do have to look for a position of work. Either you work for someone or you work for yourself. But to be a position that allows you at least to rent a place away from the influence of your family, and that you can say, this is my own nest, and I can feed and sustain my wife, or she can also help me to sustain. That's part of the plan, to prepare. Second part of the plan, not to have children, just like that, not to have children. Like whom? Kind of like Noah. Noah says that his first son was born at 500 years old. You say, well, I don't have 500 years to spend, but at least I'll look. I'm going to wait for 5 years, set a goal 5 years without having children. Because in those 5 years, I want to enjoy my wife, not a mother. I'm going away from a mother. I want to enjoy my wife, and I also want her to help me work. And that I don't have the responsibility to be stuck at home with a child, and it's going to be like, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years without having children. You plan it. How do you achieve that with a plan? If you don't have a plan, your wife or your girlfriend will end up being pregnant. I didn't even touch her. You say, You didn't have a plan. She was left pregnant. Just like that, directly like that. Directly like that. If you have a plan, then you plan things. That's what's so important for the young man. So you planify wisely. I want to get married. So then, either I already have something ready, but I'm going to prepare myself on my own account. Build it, and they will come. I'm going to build, and they, the wife, in this case, would come. But first, how will she come? First thing, I have to have some equity, or else I won't grab what I want to grab. Exactly. And if you can house, even better. Exactly. I mean, that is pure wisdom. Pure wisdom. That is the planification. But Solomon is the one saying it. Well, Solomon's saying because it's mistranslated. What is he saying? He's saying this. The Proverbs are to give sagacity for the ignorant. And the young man, wise planification, wise and intelligent planification. What is the wise planification? It is not to get engaged or get with any girl if I cannot do things on my own. If I depend on mom and dad still, then I'm still a pigeon that cannot have a dove. First, I've got to exit and go out and do things on myself in order for them to look for a dove so as to build a nest with her then. And in that aspect, not to leave her pregnant and to planify not to have children for many years. Just like that for many, many years. Not just some months or days, many years. I'm not just talking to young men, I'm talking to the girls. How should a girl think? If I like someone and we make a match, do I have to make him understand in the best of the cases that he's a match, that I cannot even get engaged with him, not allow him to put any hands on me until the guy can't keep himself alive as well as others? It's as simple as that. What do the women do? They pay attention. If the guy has money or not, if he can feed you or not, even if there's a match, if he cannot live on his own, there cannot be an intelligent planification of getting together, because they'll end up there in their parents' house and anywhere, and then they get pregnant. What does the girl have to think? Okay, if I have this already, I have my future, my future prince, or I'm looking for one, I'm looking for him, I'll propose myself to not get pregnant. How many women thought about not getting pregnant when they already had their belly this big? They didn't think about it before, because the hormones, when they are boiling, they don't allow you to think, and even if there's no planification. If there's planification, then you follow the plan. I'm not going to be pregnant. I'm going to look either the situation or the motive or the tools to not be pregnant. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't want to explain way too much. I'm not saying for you to not have sex when you could have sex. I'm saying the decision of not being left pregnant. Then it'll take all the necessary measures, even the decision of not having sex if there's no other way, so as to not be left pregnant. And if you do have sex, to be careful so as to not be pregnant, because it's already part of the plan, So then that mind, you have to have it both the young men as the young women, men and women, both. And to start to plan their life. This won't happen. It happened to my mom, my aunt, my grandma. It won't happen to me. And that is in every aspect of what is done. If it's not certain things are not convenient to you, don't do them. Very well. So then, how do I translate this text? In the form in which Solomon tried to present it, to give subtlety to the simple, in the young man, because the old are already too late, and the young man, wise and intelligent planification. He's not teaching you anything
no te
now.
está
He's just
enseñando
telling
nada.
you, read the
Te
book
está diciendo, lee el
so that you
libro
learn
para que
to have a
aprendas
good plan.
a tener un buen plan.
How many young men would
¿Cuántos
we,
jóvenes hubiéramos
not in my
querido,
case,
no en mi
how
caso,
many young men,
pero
I don't know
cuántos
why I
jóvenes,
included myself,
no sé para qué me incluyo,
to not make you feel
cuántos
bad,
jóvenes
how many
los
young men
entiendo,
like you would have
cuántos
wanted
jóvenes como
to have
ustedes
understood
hubieran
this,
querido
to have
entender
had a plan,
y haber hecho un plan
so as to not fall in the
para no
mistakes
caer en
you
los errores que cayeron?
fell into. You would have
Hubieran
wished.
deseado
Well, it's the opportunity,
es
not
la
yours
oportunidad,
anymore,
ya
but
no
of the
de
young men
ustedes,
listening to me.
sino de los jóvenes que me están escuchando.
There's a reason why you
Que
listen
por
to
algo
me,
me
the
están
young
escuchando.
men, the
Los jóvenes,
children as
los
well.
niños
Children
también.
plan
Los
as
niños
well.
planifican también.
What does a child plan?
¿Qué planifica un niño?
I'm in fourth
Yo
grade.
ahora estoy en cuarto grado,
I
quiero
want to
ser
have
bien
fifth
cuarto
grade.
grado,
I want to
quiero
get to
ser bien
fifth grade
quinto
and
grado,
have
y
good
quizás
grades
tener
and
una
have a
bicicleta
bike
y
and to
aprender a
learn
andar
how to
en
ride it.
bicicleta, yo qué sé.
Just good plans.
Planificación es
But
linda.
the kids learn
Los
to
niños
plan.
aprenden
If
a
you learn
planificar.
to plan
Si tú aprendes a planificar,
what
que
to
es
look in you towards your
mirar tu
future,
futuro,
sports
deporte. Los deportes son
are recommendable. All of them
recomendables
absolutely
todos,
recommendable.
absolutamente
Art,
recomendables.
of course.
El arte,
Everything
por
you can
supuesto,
learn, but of
que
course,
puedas aprender,
we
por
are in
supuesto.
favor of
Estamos
all
a
that.
favor
Here,
de
the eternal
todo
truth
eso. Acá,
does not
la
restrict
verdad eterna
any
no
child of
restringe
anything.
un
Let
mundo
them
de
learn
nada.
everything they have to
Que
learn.
aprendan
We
todo lo
could
que
care
tengan que
less
aprender. No nos
about whatever
importa
discipline,
la
which is
disciplina que
martial
sea,
arts,
sea artes
which are
marciales,
spectacular,
que son espectaculares,
whether it's soccer,
sea
whatever
fútbol,
sport,
sea cualquier otro deporte,
horrible
sea
sport
el
of
deporte
baseball
horrible
for you
de
to practice
béisbol,
it.
que lo practiquen.
The most boring of them
El más
all that
aburrido de
exist in the
todos
world,
los que existen
baseball
en
for
el
you to
mundo, el
practice it
béisbol,
if you
que
like
lo
that.
practiquen si lo
The
quieren, que lo
second
practiquen.
basketball
El
for you
segundo,
to
más aburrido, el
play that if you like
que lo
that.
hagan si les gusta.
Kids have to develop
Los
themselves
niños
to
se
learn
tienen que
chess,
desarrollar, aprender
to learn
ajedrez,
whatever
aprender
thing that
cualquier
is
cosa útil,
skillful.
útil. Pero los niños
But
pueden
children, they can
planificar.
planify,
Se
but they
acostumbran a planificar, y
planify
después
when
planifican
they're
cuando son más
younger,
jóvenes.
and they continue
Y después
to
siguen planificando
planify
cuando
when
son
they're
grandes.
older. And if you
Y
plan
si
your
tú
life,
planificas tu vida,
your life
se
directs itself.
va
Sometimes you don't
dirigiendo. A
achieve
veces no
the
se logra el objetivo
objective
completamente,
entirely, but
pero ya el
in order to, when you
planificarlo,
planify it,
haces
you
una
make
proyección
a mental
mental
projection of
de
what
lo
you
que
want, of
quieras,
what you want.
de lo que querés.
It's kind of like the
Y es
universe in
como
your
el
mind and
universo,
everything.
tu mente y todo,
It kind of
se
adjusts
va
itself
como
to give you what you
ajustando
want.
para darte lo que vos querés.
And when you don't make
Cuando no
plans,
haces planes,
it'll give you
te
only
va a dar
this, what
solamente
you don't want.
lo que no querés.
That is what you'll receive, what you
Eso
don't
vas a
want.
recibir, lo que
Because
no
you didn't plan.
por no haber
When you
planificado.
plan,
Cuando
it's kind of like
planificas,
things
como que se
start to
empiezan a
line
ordenar,
up, like
como
they
se
say,
dice,
the
los
planets,
planetas en orden,
and
y
things
empiezan a
start to
salir
come
las
out
cosas
because you
porque
planned
lo
it that way.
planificaste y lo
In the
deseaste.
moment in which you
En el
place a
momento que tú pones un deseo en
desire
tu
in your heart
corazón
and you write it down,
y lo
you
escribes
manifest it in your
y lo
mind.
manifiestas en
I
tu
want
mente,
this.
yo
It's
quisiera
kind of like
esto.
from
Es
that
como
moment
que
on,
se- a partir de ese
possibilities
momento
start
se
to
empiezan a dar
arise.
posibilidades.
That if you don't think about
Si
them
no las
and you don't
piensas
say
y
them,
no las
you
dices
don't write them,
y no las
they would never
escribes,
be
no
opened.
se abren nunca.
I can't tell it to you in
No
any
se
other
puede de
way.
esta forma.
It is marvelous.
Es maravilloso.
Because you open it in this world
Tú
that
abres
I don't
en
know
este
how real
mundo
it
que no sé
is
cuán real
or
sea
how
o cuánto
unreal
de
it might be.
irreal tenga,
The things
las
are
cosas
moved.
se mueven.
Yeshua said
Yeshua dijo
that faith can move
que la fe puede mover una
mountains
montaña
and
y
command it
ordenarle
to
que se tire al mar,
cast
al
itself
mar,
into
o
the
lo que
sea.
sea. Pero eso
But
te
that
indica
indicates that when you make a
que cuando
plan,
tú haces un plan,
you can already put your
ya
faith
pones
in
la
that
fe en
plan.
ese
It's
plan.
what you would
Es lo que
like.
te gustaría.
It's things that
Son
have
cosas
yet to
que todavía
happen,
no
but you
pasaron,
want them.
pero las querés.
It always
Y
happens
siempre ocurre
that
que
your world
tu
that
mundo
surrounds you or your
que te
bubble
rodea o tu burbuja
presents
te
to you the
presenta la
opportunity of doing that.
oportunidad de lograr eso.
If you don't planify it,
Si tú no lo
it
planificas,
the opportunity won't be
no se te
presented
presenta
to you ever
nunca. No se te presenta
because you
porque
didn't
no le diste
open the
y no-
key
no
of the
abriste
secret
la
of
llave, el
planifying it.
secreto de
When you make a
planificar.
plan,
Cuando tú haces un plan,
as
como
if
por
it were
arte de
magic,
magia,
the art of magic,
se empieza a
possibilities start to
presentar
rise. I'll tell it to you like that.
algunas se los digo así.
And what seemed to
Lo
be
que parecía
impossible
imposible
becomes a reality.
se convierte en realidad.
Do you know how many things I've seen that
¿Saben cuántas veces
to buy a
le dices
house,
comprar
to
una
buy a
casa,
car,
comprar
to
un
buy a
auto,
better car,
comprar un mejor auto,
to look for a better
buscar un mejor
work?
trabajo?
If you don't
Si
imagine
tú no te
yourself working in
imaginas
a better
trabajando en un mejor trabajo, y
job
decretas,
and you
"Yo
decree, I
quiero
want a
un
better
mejor
job, I'm
trabajo,
going to look
voy
for a
buscar
better
un
job,
mejor
maybe
trabajo", por ahí
life tells you,
la vida te dice,
study this
estudia esto,
or learn this
prepárate en
this
esto,
profession.
o aprende esta profesión. Y de
And
golpe
then you have a better job. But if you don't decree
Pero si
it,
tú
you
no lo
don't
decretas,
write
no
it,
lo
you don't
escribes,
imagine
no
it,
lo imaginas,
it
no
won't come
se
true.
hace
Just like
realidad.
that. You
Así
believe
es,
it, you
crear,
create it.
crear.
Creation
La creación empieza con crear.
begins with believing.
Y para
In order
crear,
to believe, you
tienes
have
que
to have
tener un plan.
plans. So now let's start with the
Entonces,
plan.
empecemos
This
con
is
el Esto es
absolute,
sabiduría absolutamente.
pure wisdom. What
¿Qué
does a
tiene
young
que
man have to plan?
planificar un joven?
Not to
No
get tangled up
enredarse
and to
y
get engaged
comprometerse
where you shouldn't.
donde no debería.
To planify if you want to have,
Si
you want to
querés
get
tener
married,
y querés
to
casar,
planify your
planificar tu
independence,
independencia.
monetary independence.
Monetaria.
If you can't do that,
Si no puedes hacer eso,
then you're not ready to get married.
entonces no
And
estás
if you get
preparado
married,
para casarte.
everything will
Y si
turn
te
out
casas, te va a ir todo mal.
badly.
Y te va a ir
Because
mal.
it's decreed,
Porque ya
it'll
está
all go
decretado que
badly.
te va a ir
Not
mal.
because I
No
decree it,
porque
it
lo
is due
decreté
to the
yo,
experience.
es
So
por la
then a young man
experiencia.
says,
Entonces un joven
first
dice,
thing, the
lo
priority
primero y prioridad
is the part
es la parte
of
de
economical
solvencia
solvence.
económica.
Priority number one.
Prioridad número uno.
Didn't I tell you last
Yo
Shabbat
no
that
les
many
dije que
didn't
va a
like it? I
pasar, que a
think
muchos no les gustó, yo creo
that money is the base
que
of
el dinero
happiness.
es la base de la
And
felicidad.
yes,
Y sí,
it is a great part of
es gran
happiness.
parte de la
Money is.
felicidad.
Without money, there's no
Sin
way of being
dinero no hay
happy. There's
forma de
no
ser
there's no
feliz.
form.
Así no
There's
hay
no way.
forma. No hay
Even
forma.
David tells you.
Te lo dice hasta David.
He says, don't make
No
me
hagas
be
tan
so
pobre que
poor
te
that I have to
robar.
steal. Don't make me so rich that
Tampoco
I
me hagas
can
tan
forget
rico
you.
que me olvide de ti.
So then,
Entonces,
no matter, that was David's problem.
eso es el
To be
problema de
too
David,
rich to forget him,
Tan
that is
rico
his
que me
problem.
olvide de él, es problema de
But
él.
if you're poor,
Pero si
I
sos
can
pobre,
assure you
yo
that
te
you
puedo
can't
asegurar
even love
que no
God,
puedes ni amar a
because
Dios,
you'll end up
porque vas a terminar
insulting
pudriendo
even
ahí.
God. There's no other way. You'll become
Te vas a
a miserable
convertir
being.
en un
So then,
mísero ser.
money and
Entonces, el dinero y la
economical
solvencia
solvence
económica
is a great part
es
of wisdom,
gran parte
of
de la
happiness, and to
felicidad.
that you add
Y a
all
eso le
wisdom,
agregas toda la
and it
sabiduría
is
y es la
complete and
felicidad
whole
plena.
happiness that we
Que
could
podemos
achieve
llegar
in
a
this
tener en
life.
esta vida, limitada. Bien,
Very well. So then,
entonces,
we advance to the following
avanzamos
text.
al próximo texto.
It's been 2 hours
Y yo
23.
llevo 2 horas 23.
Book is going to start
¿Vos
in a
vas
half
arrancar
hour.
en media hora?
What?
What?
I'll read it to you. Next
Se los
Shabbat,
leo.
Leslie,
El
I'll
Shabbat que
tell you
viene,
it's the
Leslie,
same
yo te
text
digo, va al mismo
for next
texto.
Shabbat. It's the same text because
Va al mismo texto porque
I want to explain very well
muy bien
what it is,
lo que es
what the fear of Yahweh is. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh.
es el temor de Yahweh. Los
The
insensatos
unwise
desprecian la sabiduría
despise
y
wisdom
la
and teaching.
enseñanza.
That'll be the
Esa
following
va la
invitation
próxima invitación.
because we haven't
Pero
touched
lo
on it and I
tocamos
want to go little
un
by
poquito
little.
a poco.
5, I won't
Cinco.
explain it.
Y no lo voy a explicar.
Well, the wise
Oirá
man
el
will
sabio y
hear
aumentará el saber.
and he will
Y el
augment his
entendido
learning, and the understanding will acquire
consejo.
advice. It's not two things, really.
En realidad
I don't
no
know
son
why I'm
dos cosas.
explaining.
No sé por qué te explico.
Actually, it's not two
En realidad
things.
no son dos cosas.
It would seem to be two categories. You have the wise man and the understood. One thing is to be wise,
Una
another
cosa
is
es
to
ser
be
sabio y la otra es ser
understood.
entendido.
No, of course,
No es
when
raro,
we're
¿no?
wise or
Yo que soy
understood.
sabio o entendido.
Actually, what it's
En realidad,
Solomon
lo
is
que
saying
está
is that the
diciendo
wise
Salomón
man,
es el
and
sabio
the
e
intelligent,
inteligente,
the same
son
category.
la misma categoría.
I like the way it was translated by the Spanish DHH, but I'll expand it next Shabbat. It says, Spanish DHH says, he that is wise and intelligent, not two categories but one, he that is wise and intelligent listens to the Proverbs and acquires even more wisdom and experience. That is the more correct one. Not two categories, it is one, wise and understood, because the understood will also be wise. And I like this one. It's not divided, but it is semi-divided. And just listen to it. The Torres Proverbs 1:5 says, the wise man that will listen to these parables will become even wiser. And he that would understand them, the wise man that understands them, it will serve them as a steering wheel to guide. Okay, that's good. We'll leave that for next Shabbat. Leave there, number 5. And now we get to the questions, which are simple questions, nothing complicated, that I'll answer in 2 seconds, but in the meantime I'm going to look to see if there's any more questions here. So maybe there are more questions that I haven't looked at. Okay, let's look at the messages. Let's go to the messages. Oh yeah, we've got... Okay, let's do something. All the questions that you asked me today, If there's any questions,
que hay
let's see. Let me read them for
a ver,
myself.
voy a leerlas para mí.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
They're sharing a link
Están
for
compartiendo
me.
un
This is
link
called
que se llama
NGL,
Aquí está ese
where
link
they can
para
ask
que se
an
pueda
anonymous
hacer
question. I'm
preguntas
going to look at it. I'm
anónimas.
going
Ok,
to
me
try
voy
it
a
out,
fijar,
and then
lo voy a
I'll
probar
share
y
it.
después lo comunico.
I'll test it
Ok,
out. Thank you.
Lo voy a probar. Gracias por eso.
Let us go to this one here.
Vamos a esta acá.
Another one. This could be a question. Let's
Esto
see.
puede ser una pregunta. Voy a poner
It says
así.
question to
Dice,
feel
pregunta,
uncomfortable
sentirse
with the
incómodo
praises of
con las
others.
alabanzas de los demás.
Is
¿Es
it
falsa
false
modestia,
modesty
falta
or
de inteligencia
low
emocional o
self-esteem
baja autoestima?
or the lack
El
of
sentirse incómodo con las
intelligence?
alabanzas
Is
de
it
los demás. ¿Es
fake
falsa
modesty?
modestia? Sí.
It's not that it's fake modesty.
No es que sea
It
falsa
is
modestia.
the lack of
Falta de
emotional intelligence
inteligencia emocional
or low
o
self-esteem.
baja autoestima.
And depending of what it
Y
is to
depende de lo
feel
que
uncomfortable,
sentís
why do you feel
incómodo.
uncomfortable?
¿Por qué te sentís incómodo?
I would have to ask you,
yo tendría
what
que
is it
preguntarte.
that
¿Qué
to
es
feel
sentirse
uncomfortable? You should
incómodo? No
not
te
make you feel
deberías
uncomfortable
sentir
if you think
incómodo
that those
si
praises
tú
are
crees que esas
proper,
alabanzas son
if they're
apropiadas.
proper,
Son apropiadas.
because
Porque
your level of
tu
praise
nivel de alabanza
indicates
te
that those
indica que
praises are
esa
proper.
alabanza es apropiada.
If it makes you feel uncomfortable,
Si
that
te
could
hace sentir
be
incómodo, pueden
because
ser
you consider them to
porque
be
las consideras
inadequate,
inadecuadas,
that they're praising something to
que
you
te
that
están
it shouldn't be
alabando algo que
praised
no
under
debería
your
ser
eyes,
alabado bajo tus ojos,
or because
o porque
you have a fake modesty
tienes una
that says
falsa modestia que dice
praise
la
is
alabanza
wrong
hace mal
and
y
I don't
yo
want to be
quiero ser
praised.
alabado.
So then
Depende.
I couldn't
Así
answer
que
that question.
no te podía responder esa pregunta.
The one that asked this question,
Al que preguntó
and
esta
only and
pregunta,
for everyone,
solamente y
I'll
para
answer.
todos, contesta.
Try more than to
Traten,
feel uncomfortable,
más que sentirse
try to
incómodos, de tratar
discern
de discernir
what is the intention
la
behind
intención
the
detrás de la
praise.
alabanza, nada más.
If it's from
Si ves que de un
an
amigo
honest
sincero
friend that
que
is
te está
thanking for something,
agradeciendo
accept
algo,
it
acéptala
with
con
joy.
alegría.
If you think that it is,
Si ves que es
the intention
la
is not
intención
so
no es tan linda,
beautiful, that is where you
ahí
can
es cuando
directly
tú puedes
see
directamente
what
darte
you
cuenta
are
con que
dealing
estás
with. There's no
lidiando,
need for you
que
to
no
tell
hace
the
falta que
person,
tú
but
digas
you already
a la
know
persona.
beforehand
Ya
with your
sabes de
intuition
antemano, con tu
what they're looking
intuición,
for.
qué busca.
And when they
Y
try
cuando
to
traten
impose
de
themselves on what you're looking
imponerse
for
en lo que busca,
and what they're looking for, you're prepared
preparado
to control the
para
situation
controlar la
and
situación.
not to
Y
allow
no
yourself to
dejarte
be
llevar
swayed.
para ese lado.
So that
Entonces,
for no one to
que
feel
nadie haga sentir
be
incómodo las
uncomfortable
alabanzas,
with praises,
porque
so
si
if you
se
feel
sienten incómodos,
uncomfortable when the
cuando
praises
lleguen
of the whole world
las
would come,
alabanzas
you're
de
going to
todo el
feel
mundo,
more than
se van a
uncomfortable.
sentir más que
Just imagine.
incómodos.
So then, oh well.
Así que, bueno,
I don't know if I answered
no sé si
correctly,
respondía bien,
but
pero
that is
eso es
what I want to
lo que quiero.
provide. I
Dice,
find
esta
this
pregunta
question
me
to
parece
be
interesante.
interesting. Do we
¿Decidimos
decide by
mejor por
instinct or by
instinto
logic?
o mediante la lógica?
Both things.
Las dos
Instinct,
cosas. El instinto,
which could be
que
intuition,
podría ser la intuición,
if your intuition,
si tu
because sometimes
intuición,
instinct is
porque a
not
veces el
correct.
instinto no está en lo
According to the
correcto,
information
que
you have,
mucha
your
información
intuition
que tenga, tu
could be
intuición puede estar
completely incorrect,
completamente equivocada.
erroneous. The first
Por
thing
eso,
you have to
lo
know
primero
what
tenés
is
que
good,
saber
what
lo
is
que
correct,
está
and
bien,
what's
está mal,
wrong,
y la inteligencia y
and
la
intelligence
sabiduría.
and wisdom. So then
Entonces,
that
ahí
is
vas a
where
ir
you will start to regulate the
regulando
instinct.
el
But the
instinto.
instinct has
Pero
to
el
be
instinto
ruled by
tiene que ser
logic.
regido por la lógica.
Both things.
Las dos cosas son.
So then the question is, do we
Entonces,
decide by
decidimos
instinct
mejor
through
por
logic?
instinto o mediante la lógica.
Both things.
Las dos
Logic
cosas. La lógica
and also what your
y
instincts.
también qué te dice el instinto.
Your instincts
Porque el
makes you
instinto a
see
veces
the logic even
te
better
hace ver
sometimes.
la
Both things.
lógica mejor.
Don't choose one or the other.
Las dos cosas.
Always
No
logic
elijas
has to be
una
there.
u otra.
What is logic? To
Siempre
think.
la lógica tiene que
To
estar. ¿Qué
think.
es la lógica?
To think.
Pensar.
Sometimes your instinct is
Pensar.
very
Pensar. A veces el instinto es muy
unthinking and animalistic
no
in
pensante
nature.
y
The instinct of
animalista.
animals, just imagine. So then
Instinto de los
the
animales, imagínate.
instinct and logic above
Entonces,
all
el
things,
instinto
in
y
my
la
point of view.
lógica. La
Okay,
lógica por sobre todas las cosas para mi punto de vista. Okay.
let's see if there's a question.
A ver si esta es
It
una
says,
pregunta.
Hi, Christian, lineage Shabbat.
Dice, hola,
Just a
Cristian,
question
Linaje Shabbat.
with
Saludos. Una pregunta.
The
¿Estaría
context of
bien
fear
el contexto
towards Yahweh,
miedo
or
a Yahweh,
with the
o
context
sería mejor
of fear sounds
respeto
like
a Yahweh?
humbleness?
Porque la
Thanks for
palabra
the
miedo
teaching.
suena
No, it is
humillación,
correct.
sumiso. Gracias por la
The word
enseñanza.
fear
No, es
is
correcto la
fear.
palabra temor.
in fear,
Temor.
almost
Y temor
like
casi rayando en el
becoming
terror.
terror, so that you understand.
Para que
And
se
fear is
entienda.
correct, absolutely correct.
Y miedo está
What is
correcto.
not correct
Absolutamente
is
correcto.
respect.
Lo que
Respect
no
is not
está
correct.
correcto es
Respect,
respeto.
you can
No está
respect an old
correcto,
man.
respeto. Respeto,
You
podés
can
respetar a un
respect an
ancianito.
animal.
Podés respetar un
You can
animalito,
respect
un
the dog.
animalito.
And is that respect compared with what you have towards the Creator? No, because you're not afraid of the dog. You have respect. Look, I could crush you, but because I respect you, I'll leave you alone. But with God, it's not respect. Whomever, whatever translation that says respect is fake. It's almost like terror towards Yahweh, because you have to see Him. And I'm not explaining anything. I'll explain it next Shabbat if we get there. You have to see Him as a being that can destroy you whenever He wants. An ultra-powerful being that created you. More than being unjust or just, love, or God, whatever. It doesn't matter. You look at Him with terror because ultra-powerful, and that's it, it's over. And there's nothing that you can do that He cannot do with you. If He wants to crush you, He'll do it. So then when you are in the presence of something ultra-powerful, you have fear, not respect. If I were in an electric plant that generates 100,000 volts, and that goes to the central, to the cables, and every time I go there, they even buzz. The static's so great that even your hair stands up. You know that it's an energy. It's so great that if it touches you, or a little spark, and you are done, you don't have respect. You are afraid of that. And you do things with terror. Well, that is Yahweh. Something ultra powerful. That just one mistake, or because He wants to, He burns you to a toast, to a crisp. That is not respect. That is terror. That is why the beginning of wisdom is with an absolute fear of Yahweh. Absolute fear. But I'll explain that next Shabbat. Very well. Very well. And if it's submissive, but it's fear. But it's fear because of its power. Okay. Let me see if I have another question here.
A ver si tengo una pregunta acá.
I feel this one's long, I'll read it. And if it's any good, I'll read it later. Live.
La leo después en vivo.
Not that one, not that one.
Ese no.
I have to go. I have to go unread, or else I'll never read them. Okay. I'm going to read the ones.
Okay.
If I don't read them now, I'll read them next Shabbat. I'll read the both that I have, okay, to finish up. Very well. If I get another one, I'll read it next Shabbat. Because exactly in 20 minutes is when Boca Juniors will start playing in a watch. But it's Shabbat, yes, exactly. Because it's Shabbat, we'll watch it. Okay. Dear Christian, you've asked us in Wisdom and Discipline 1 that for us to ask you anonymous questions through this means. I don't want to be pretentious or a know-it-all by indicating that I don't have any questions. Maybe I ask myself why I've made such erroneous decisions in my life. I know LVE since many years, since the time that they would still send CDs on the mail, but my bad decisions didn't allow me to collaborate with Tides during a long time. Now it fills me with pride to be disciplined in that aspect. Due to my wishes as man, the personal insatisfaction that I've suffered with my woman, the life with her has been a torment during a long time. This series is, we can talk about many sexuality, so we'll talk about that. Trying to use words that are almost in parable, so that the children don't hear what they don't have to listen to. I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to do it that way. But as a part of wisdom is sexuality. Very well. It says, no to my desires as a man, the insatisfaction that I've suffered with my woman, the life with her has been a torment during a long time. Already in 2011, I asked her to be divorced, but I didn't feel well next to her. I didn't feel happy next to her. The non-accepting of her behalf to try once again to keep up the relationship, and the bad living and the bad air made me decide very bad decisions.
Muy malas decisiones personales.
I postponed
Postergué
the divorce
solicitar nuevamente el divorcio
till
hasta
her
el
parents died.
fallecimiento de
I am
su
starting
padre,
once
del
again the
padre de-
process.
Estoy
We're
iniciando
already in
nuevamente el
2024.
proceso y
In these
estamos
last
ya en
months, and
2024.
I knew another
En estos
woman
últimos meses
that has made
conocí
me
a otra
happy,
mujer
the one
que
that I
me has
love.
hecho
To whom?
feliz
Okay,
y a la que amo.
doesn't
Para
matter. I'm
quien
gonna
me
skip that.
disculpa,
I am
dice acá.
one thing that there's no need. Am I
Una parte que no se falta.
doing this with wisdom? That the type of question, see, that's the type of questions that you desire. The thing is that I do want to receive the seven spirits promised. Yeah, any question. That is perfect. That's why I'm reading it. Why? The question is, he starts out, why have I had so many bad decisions in my life? The question is why. The answer is simple. Because the mistakes are necessary in order to grow. From this moment on, from this point in life, you have to make a decision that you haven't made before, that everything behind was correct to be the person that you are and to change what you have to change. So then all the mistakes, you have to see them as an opportunity to learn. No matter what you made a mistake in, no matter if you have left 500 kids all over the place, no matter what you've done, in this point in life, you shouldn't feel guilty because of doing this or that, but by saying, how much have I learned? That which I've done incorrectly. In this point in life, I recognize that I've done it incorrectly, and now I wouldn't do it. It's what it makes you feel happy. You cannot learn when you don't have all the information unless you make mistakes. So then, no matter what you've done, if you're in this point in life thinking of why I've made those mistakes, it's already the key to say and to recognize that it's been a mistake. And if it's been a mistake, would you do it again? If you would do it again, it's because you haven't learned your lesson. But if you would already not make the mistake again, already that mistake has had its function, which was to show you what you should not do. And if you didn't learn it with the teaching, or it wasn't given to you, or you didn't want to learn it, and you learned it with experience, that experience makes you wise. Because you already know clearly what is not convenient to do. And when it arrives, you have to ask yourself this. When that opportunity were to happen again, would you make that mistake again? Or directly, would you avoid it? And directly, wouldn't do it. If you are so sure that you will avoid it and directly wouldn't do it, then it's had its function, that mistake has. That mistake cannot be a punishment in your life that torments you. Because also you have not learned the lesson of what the mistakes are for. What are the mistakes for? The mistakes are exclusively to make you a better person if you recognize them and abandon them. If you don't recognize them, if you don't abandon them, then it doesn't make you a better person. It is no good and you're a bad person. But if you recognize them, and I'm going to use the word the Christians use, and if you repent of doing it, that is precisely the function of repentance, of saying, in that I made a mistake, I will never again make a mistake. I've learned my lesson. And if that case were to arise again, I'll avoid it completely. The thing is that you have to be sure if you can avoid it entirely. If you fell for a woman, if a woman were to come in a different circumstance, would you not fall because you've made a decision, a planification? Or would you again fall? If you stole, or if you defrauded, committed fraud, would you do it again? So then, you should not feel bad due to the mistakes you've made. Those mistakes, you have to take them as growing steps. You see them as mistakes because they're below, because you're higher now. Once you're above what you've done before, you cannot look back and say, I wish I didn't do it. No, because when you made those mistakes, it made you live an experience that you should not do that. That if you had not done that, let's suppose, at any point in time, you would do it again. And I would not want to do it at this point in my life. It's better before And then now you can say, I would pay a lot more attention. So then, past mistakes are stepped on. Did they make you wise? Well, if you learn to see them, if you learn to identify them, and you don't do them again, if you do them again, they're no good. You're no good. In fact, if you make them again, they would present themselves in your life that you make them again to demonstrate to you that you're not prepared and you don't learn. This life is here to learn. No matter what mistake, don't look at it with pain, because it is a learning curve. Okay. The other question you asked me is, and I'm acting wisely now, I wouldn't know, because if from here a year out with the other woman that you say that you love with, that you're going to fight again, you're going to say that you made another mistake, I cannot answer that. You have to answer that yourself. If you see now that you're with a woman and that woman makes you happy, the woman really is happy, then yes, you're at a different level. If now you see that you know what it is to act well, if now you see that you've made a mistake, is that you've again made the mistake. So then you can answer that yourself. Because of what you tell me, that you're happy and that you love each other, it would seem that yes, that you're acting with wisdom. And to get divorced from that woman is to act with wisdom very well from the other woman. And having answered that, don't worry about that. Then you have the other question. Good day, Mr. Christian. We want to ask you how to be wise if they never showed us. And we've always been in the educational system, what they wanted to teach us. Thanks for allowing us to ask. And I think I've answered this already. Everything that we have learned as in the educational system as parents, and if that doesn't go into the garbage can, there's no space for us to learn. And I believe that the intelligence, which is the capacity of little by little, it grows as we gain more wisdom. And so then, don't worry about what you've learned before. Now you're in a path that's very different. And if you notice, that only lies where the inheritance of our fathers, we've noticed that all of us. So that you're already on the path of wisdom. Do not expect to be a light in intelligence when we don't need to be. What we do need to be is to learn to act better every day by day. That is our task, not to be the most intelligent, not to be the most wise, not to be those that have the most memory, but in the path of wisdom. And if we're in the path of wisdom, we're in the correct path. If already everything we've learned in the eternal truth, starting with YHWH Ekhad, starting with and following up that with everything is a lie, you're in the path of the wisdom, a free way of wisdom. Don't worry about what they've placed in our mind. The question is how much of that is left there. Because you say that they have placed us and they made us repeat like a parrot. Is your mind still speaking about that? Is it still in your mind that the earth is a globe? You can't take that out. Then I can understand saying that maybe science is right. Then we'd have a problem. But if you already know there was all a lie, so then you're in the path of wisdom. And don't worry, if you don't have the memory or the intelligence that you would have if you had learned this since you were little. The moment is today. No matter what age it is, the moment is today. Today is the moment. I have 54 years old. Wow. I get so angry to be 54 years old. I'm 54 years old. And there's no better moment than today. If you're 20 years old, today is your moment. If you're 60 years old, today is your moment. If you're 70 years old, this better be your moment because you're not going to have many more moments. So then this is your moment. This is your moment. Hold on to that. Embrace it because today is your day. Today is your day. Today is your day of embracing wisdom. No matter your age, no matter the mistakes you have, that is how kings are made, and that is how Yahweh is making the Messiah. Without any further ado, let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this time because that you give us to be able to comprehend what you want from us, what you wish from your Son, what preparation we have to have to guide this whole humanity, to be able to be kings, judges, and your bride. That little by little the change is made, and we need to comprehend that our mistakes were for good. We give you thanks because we are about to fulfill this mission as a Mashiach, and you instruct us still. We thank you for all this in your precious name, YHWH. Hallelujah. Semper Fi. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live. An applause for the bride in Argentum Mashiach and Senesia of Yahweh. Don't forget when I'm about to say something that is. Don't breathe. This is very important. Aguante Boca, damn it. Let's go Boca, damn it. Aguante Boca. Hallelujah to every one of you. If the Lord allows it, we shall meet again next Shabbat. Hallelujah to every one of you, and aguante Boca. Let's go Boca. Let's go Boca.